Hello. I've never made a already have it. Go faster when there's more people looking.
And what's it about? Is it, no, no. For the public hearing, what they do is last that section, then let us explain it. It's only a part of your home.
I'm like, let me go and get this place so I don't have to pass it out while I'm just I'm like, what me? Oh yeah, let's do it. And I'm sorry, not that feel like now.
What you got?
What are you being dramatic about today? Everybody's here. No shit.
We're giving out a lot.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, yeah, you have to read over, right?
I'm on there somewhere. So, I mean, you need it up.
There it is.
The big house tonight, right? Oh, is it? I saw this. Yeah, everybody.
Good.
Yeah. I came down this afternoon. Yeah, where to text.
It's not big, but how much they engineered roundabouts. There's zero game how much concrete you have roundabouts. I don't know what their engineers are on, but.
All right, you ready for this show?
Oh yes, Seth bought one round and Sandy bought one round.
Oh, okay. Let me borrow a couple sheets of paper. You see how I think about you, that's why I said that. You know. No feedback.
Yeah. I get like that sometimes in the sun. I can't stop. So when I'm driving and the sun comes in the windshield, I start sneezing.
Yeah, you know, with this weather, you know, it's been cold, sunny, and then I've been trying to afford.
And that sun, when you go down Main Street, hits you right in the face.
Yeah. Do something with some of them ice spots.
Oh, terrible.
Oh,
Right at the top of our road, going down the hill. It's,
oh, great.
I'm ready. Good evening. Friendly reminder, please either turn your cell phone completely down, or do like I do, just turn your silence or off. Can you hear me now? Now, just reminding everyone to turn their cell phones, mute your cell phones or turn it off while we go in this meeting. We have again, good evening and welcome to City of Oxford's Commissioners Board meeting. It's 1907, Wednesday, January 15, 2025. I would like to ask my Mayor Pro Tem, Patricia Fields, to lead us in the prayer, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Carlos Bellis.
For all of you that are so inclined, would you pray with me? All wise, kind Father, we humbly bow first and foremost to say thank you. Thank you for the mercies that you have bestowed upon us. Now, God, we ask you to come into this meeting. Let everything we do be pleasing in your sight. Let us think of not self, but all, so that everything we do will be to benefit the citizens of Oxford and not individuals. As we depart from this place, God, we ask for traveling mercy and safety, for there's still out there some spots. So we ask you to guide us till we get home safely. For this and all our prayers we pray in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If you may stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
At this time, we will consider adjustment to and approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any adjustments to tonight's agenda? Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the
Second.
agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. To provide for the highest standards of behavior and transparency in governance, the Board of Commissioners have approved a code of ethics to establish guidelines for ethical standards for board members and to provide guidance in determining appropriate conduct. Among those board members should avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties and should conduct the affairs of the board in an open and public manner. If any board member knows of a conflict of interest or appearance of a conflict, please state so at this time. There's no conflicts at time. Let the record, no conflicts of interest. We can start our delegation process. Commissioner Lumpkins.
Can everybody hear me? Excuse me. All right. Well, it's my honor tonight to award the Helen Curtis Amos Award. And you know, I think this is the second year that we have awarded this award to a citizen. To start off, I wanted to read a little bit about Helen Curtis Amos. Helen was the oldest of 7 children. She was born in Oxford, living less than a mile from the colored orphanage, now the Central Children's Home. She attended the Angier B. Duke School, located on the campus of the orphanage. She was a graduate of Mary Potter High School and completed further study at East Carolina University in Greenville, go Pirates, where she received an associate degree in library science. Once certified, Helen became librarian at the elementary school which she had attended, the Angier B. Duke School. In 1995, she retired from the Richard H. Thornton Library here in Oxford. This busy lady was the first person of color to serve as chairman of the Granville County Board of Elections. Additionally, she served as chairman of the Senior Citizen Advisory Board, chairman of the Granville County Human Relations Commission, member of the Board of Social Services, trustee for First Baptist Church, illustrious commandress of Emron Court number 55, daughter of Isis, loyal lady ruler Henderson Assembly number 195, worthy matron of Queen Esther chapter number 536, Order of the Eastern Star, deputy of District 23 OES, past president of the Oxford chapter of Les Gems, and was appointed to the North Carolina Ethics Board by Governor James Hunt. Amos has received numerous awards, some of which were the Oxford Business and Professional Chain Award in 2010, Outstanding Service to the Citizens of Granville County Award presented by the Chamber of Commerce in 2004. Outstanding Treasurer Award of the Order of the Eastern Star in 1995. Political Action Award of Les Gems. North Carolina Commandress of the Year 1987 was listed as Who's Who in North Carolina in 1973. That's a lot of accomplishments. Very impressive. So this award, goes to someone who has gone above and beyond in serving the Oxford community without seeking recognition or title. And it is my honor to read this proclamation accepting you. Okay.
And you know, Mr. Lumpkin, she is here.
I didn't see her here.
Right here, Helen Amos
Please
is
stand.
here. Please stand.
Round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly a pleasure and an immense honor to stand before you all tonight as we celebrate and recognize an extraordinary individual whose contributions to our community have been both impactful and enduring. Miss Juanita Candy Rogers, a woman. I don't even know if I need to finish reading what we have, but I will do that anyway. Miss Juanita Candy Rogers, a woman whose name is synonymous with service, leadership, and unwavering dedication, is tonight's recipient of the esteemed Helen Curran Amos Award, and rightly so. She has set the standard for what it means to serve this city with both passion and purpose. Candy Rogers is not only a force to be reckoned with in Oxford, but also a beacon of light and hope, whose influence has touched countless lives across our community. Whether she is offering wise counsel to those in need, teaching invaluable lessons to those of all ages, organizing events that unite, inspire, and strengthen our city, Candy's impact resonates far beyond the surface. It reaches the very heart of what makes Oxford a truly special place to call home. Through her tireless work as a member of numerous civic groups and her ability to wear many hats, whether as a mentor, a teacher, or an advocate for positive change, Candy has demonstrated that the essence of leadership is found in service to others. Her efforts remind us that one person's vision, dedication, and willingness to go above and beyond can transform an entire community. This evening, we have the immense pleasure not only of presenting her with the Helen Curran Amos Award, but also of bestowing upon her another honor that signifies the city's deepest gratitude and respect. Candy Rogers will be the first ever recipient of the Key of the City of Oxford Award. This key, which symbolizes trust, respect, and the highest regard of our community, holds for her is a testament to her countless contributions and a lasting acknowledgement of the role she has played in shaping the community we love. Candy, as you receive this historic honor tonight, let it serve as a reminder of how much you mean to this city and to every life you have touched through your service, your wisdom, and compassion. Your relentless efforts to build bridges, foster community, and leave a positive mark wherever you are truly inspiring. You remind us of what it means to not only be citizens of Oxford, but a champion for its future. On behalf of the city of Oxford, its residents, and all of us who have had the privilege of witnessing your remarkable work firsthand, I want to say thank you for your unwavering dedication, your tireless commitment, and the love you show for this community every single day.
Your legacy is one that will endure for generations, and tonight we celebrate not just your achievements, but the incredible person that you are. Congratulations, Candy, on these well-deserved honors. May this moment serve as a reflection of how deeply we appreciate and cherish all that you do. Ms. Rogers, thank you so much for being you.
I'm going to read the proclamation by the City of Oxford. This is a proclamation honoring Miss Juanita Candy Rogers as this year's Helen Curran Amos Award winner. Whereas Miss Juanita Candy Rogers was nominated for this year's Helen Curran Amos Award by the Orange Street Community Center's fundraising committee. And whereas it has been said that Miss Rogers could be regarded as the Wizard of Oxford, a title reflecting her impact on Oxford and her humility outside of the spotlight. And whereas she grew up in Oxford in a family that deeply valued education. And whereas after earning both bachelor's and master's degrees, Miss Rogers returned to her hometown to care for her parents, a decision that marked the beginning of her exceptional service to our community. And whereas Miss Rogers' leadership influenced city ordinances and improved the quality of life for Oxford's residents through her service on various boards and committees, such as the HPC, the Planning Board, the Oxford Appearance Committee, and many others. And whereas Miss Rogers had advocated for integrating the Oxford Women's Club and became its first African-American board member. And whereas she co-founded the Granville chapter of the League of Women Voters in 2012, she founded Citizens in Action, an organization addressing local issues such as neighborhood safety and elder abuse. Whereas as chair of Orange Street Community Center's Board of Trustees, Ms. Rogers has spearheaded critical renovations, transforming the venue into a vibrant community resource through volunteers and fundraising. Whereas Ms. Rogers' unwavering dedication to Oxford's progress, her ability to unite diverse groups, and her tireless work behind the scenes epitomized the selfless spirit of the Helen Curran Amos Award. Now, therefore, I, Guillermo Nurse, Mayor of the City of Oxford, along with the Oxford Board of Commissioners, do hereby honor and celebrate the life and accomplishments of Miss Juanita Candy Rogers. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Oxford NC to be affixed this the 15th day of January 2025, signed by Mayor Guillermo Nurse.
So Juanita Candy Rogers, I present to you the Helen Curran Amos Award, presented to Juanita Candy Rogers in recognition of your dedication service to the City of Oxford and its citizens on January 15, 2025, by Mayor Guillermo Nurse and the Oxford City Board of Commissioners. Here is your key to the city.
I am immensely grateful for the opportunities that I have has been bestowed upon me tonight. I'm overwhelmed. I see so many faces and so many surprises, and I want to thank whoever, the many people that recommended me for these awards. It's just that I just really don't know what to say. It is an honor to receive the Helen Curran Amos Award. Now, you heard the many things that she has done in this city. Well, I don't think I can top her, but she was very instrumental, and it is an honor to receive this. I chose to stay in Oxford because I wanted to make a difference And I truly feel that I did make a difference. And I'm going to continue to make a difference. Thank you so much for these honors, and I'm most appreciative. Actually, I do talk, but I'm just overwhelmed tonight, and I don't know what else to say other than to say thank you. I was wondering why so many different people were here tonight, and they never, really come. But and I see, so many from Wake Forest and Durham that have come here tonight. I thank you. And to my friend, Miss Sarah LeMay and her daughter Cheryl, I think they are very happy tonight. And to my friend who's going to be 100 the 22nd of next month, I asked her, I said, why are you here? She said, this is a public meeting. I can come. But thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much, Candy. The words by Commissioner McCray, there's no need to say any more words, but thank you very much. And those who work alongside Candy in the community, she is a driving force. She does not let you sleep, so I can tell you that. Thank you very much, Candy.
Thank you.
Well, that is a hard to follow one. How nice. Well, thank you. Commissioner Lumpkins asked me to come today. My name is Amanda Welsh, and I manage the Henderson Oxford Airport. I give y'all a handout and my business card, and I want to start by saying, first of all, if y'all have any questions about the airport, about what we can do for more for the city, about what the city can do for us, and everything, we're an economic driving force, and we are ready to serve. So please, just to begin, I'd like to extend the invitation. Come on out, see some airplanes, pack a picnic on any nice day. And we'd be happy to have you and show you around and let you know how things go. So I broke up this update, and I'm not going to read just line by line here, but I broke up this update into what impact the airport had on our community in 2024, the upgrades that we've made in 2024, and then what we're yet looking forward to in 2025. Though we will always add to that 25 list. You never know what's around the corner for a busy airport. I wanted to pull forth a couple of things from every category there, and then just be open for questions. So we were able to serve over 200 students this past year, and we're looking. It's kind of a little goal of the airport to increase that number every year, and that's with free airport rides, STEM activities, tours, summer camps, active activities. We run airplane races, all types of activities there. If you or anybody in the community here has a group that would like to come out and tour the airport, talk to me and we'll see what we'd like to do. And with that, other adult groups, civic groups, such like that. And then our airport is busy and full. So we have a large wait list, as do all airports in the area, of people who'd like to have a hangar or a tie-down space. And so we are absolutely just pushing through and trying to make more room and growing with aviation. North Carolina is number 2 in aviation in the nation behind Florida. And who wants to be there? So we've got a great spot up in here. Some of our physical updates for the year. Our biggest one is something that none of you guys, probably maybe 2 people in this room know exist. It's called a PAPI, Precision Approach Path Indicator. That stands for. That's a navigational aid for airplanes. Tells you, make sure you don't run into the ground too hard. Make sure you make the runway and don't overshoot it. So we just got a large upgrade in that. That's a big aviation safety and security and niceness issue for all the pilots that come through. So that is what we as an airport are most proud of. That was a FAA and NCDOT and Oxford co-funded project there. And that was our big project for the year. So Though you may not know what it is, it's some lights and they're good. I'll tell you that. And then we got into the 21st century this year as well. We have high-speed internet. Thank you guys. I think you guys were some of the people who dragged the lines through the area out there, as well as the county, as well as everybody. And we are just thrilled with it. It's so helpful for business and travelers. And then we're just working on safety, working on security otherwise. Projects going, little grading, upgrade projects, different things. In 2025, one of our most ambitious projects that I have seen coming in my 6 years of being at the airport is going to come. We're going to have to move the taxiway to update it to current FAA standards. That is going to be a couple thousand dump trucks worth of earth moving and unknown amounts of asphalt and concrete later. So the engineers know, I just hadn't read that part yet. That will be a big project, including electricity, a new pavement, and earth moving. We are hoping to start that project this year. It's been in engineering. It has been in funding for quite a long time. And I believe that we have pushed through and we are at the list and we're there for this year. We'll be finding out in 2 weeks for sure. So that'll be a big thing. Y'all have possibly heard of, we had a large state grant used in the area. County might know more about it. It's out there. To do a water line project. So we are going to have pumped city water, county water. It actually will be Oxford City Water to the airport. And so that's in engineering for 2025. Hopefully to be an actual project, shovels ready in 26. But the engineering should finish this year. A lot of engineering at the airport always. And then, if anybody's ever interested in coming out to the airport, renting an airplane, taking a ride, we are adding 2 more rental airplanes to the fleet this year. And we will go forward with using those for Young Eagle rides, which are free rides for children aged 8 to 18, as well as other things. So I will be letting you guys know when we have a date for our Young Eagles rally, which is a day that we have open for those free rides. We also have individuals do those all the time for children that they know. And we will be tallying our children and served and adults in the community served for the next year, and I'll let you know in 2026. But I'm there at the bottom, and the commissioners, I've given all you my card that has my more personal information. And public, I will leave these in the back. Come on out. The airport is available to visit during business hours. Come out, just see how we are, see some airplanes land. We have a lot of flight training, business jets, all type of things going on. So it can be a little fun packed picnic area. So, commissioners, do you have any questions for me?
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Earlier, we were approached maybe several months ago by the Life Flight organization where they were looking for home, and now we're trying to get with Oxford. And obviously, they have some requirements.
They do.
And I directed them to Commissioner Long, Commissioner, you guys. Is there any progress in that? It'd be great to have their Life Flight.
We love Life Flight. Yes, we fuel their helicopter a lot, and we know all their nurses. Our dog is their little unofficial security blanket dog. We are getting in the process. So one of the necessities that they have on their plan is high-speed internet. Right. So we have checked that box. Another will be water. Water. Yep. So we gotta check that box, and we're getting towards that. I would be thrilled to come to you in 2026 or end of 25 and say, hey, we have engineering for a hangar for them. But that would be, that's a big thing that all the guys who are working Life Flight, the higher ups are doing all the work for that, but all the guys working Life Flight, they all want to be there. We want them there. Great. That'd be great fun.
And they would do the funding. They said they'll provide the money to put the hangar up and all that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
All it needs is.
We just need a couple of ground break stuff. So we're pushing towards that. And again, Life Flight has those requirements. A lot of other entities of all types in the area who are looking for space have the requirement of water and high-speed internet. So,
and Amanda, can you also explain the importance of being able to have city water at the airport as not a significant user of water, but it will help with the growth. Can you explain?
Absolutely, yes. So I will go in more into depth about the why we need the city water at the airport. There's a number of reasons. So first of all, like I said, when entities come to economic development areas and they have a request for proposal or request for development site of an area, they do have listed requirements. Most all of those are high-speed internet and city water. That's just the top two. That is mainly, sometimes it's water quality and different things wise, but that is also mainly because of building requirements. So to have a sprinkler system in a large, if a building's large enough, I'll back up, needs a sprinkler system. And to have a sprinkler system without the pressure and the line of city water is a large engineering nightmare. And so having city water there allows entities to approach the airport about building larger buildings, larger hangars, as well as just, hey, we need to have people shower, we need to have people, you know, be able to do their everyday things with city water. But the big thing would again be the pressure necessary for sprinkler systems that are required once buildings reach a certain square footage, which is easier to reach when you're thinking about putting airplanes in them. They get big pretty quick.
Thank you.
So thank you. That's an excellent question. Excellent question. Yes, sir.
Just two little things. I'm glad you got Patty, because that means you can get bigger aircraft.
Yes,
right?
yes. It is an upgraded from our VASI
And
system.
that's
Yes.
good. And how many instructors do you have out there?
We have full-time 2 to 3, depending, so
Right.
3-ish. And we actually support about 6 to 7 part-time to very strongly part-time flight instructors that are independent contractors.
Oh, good. And
So
Juanita Rogers got the key to the city. That doesn't give her entitlement to fly an aircraft.
come on out, we'll give you a ride.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll leave these for the public if necessary.
We'll have a financial report by our own Melanie Trexler.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, we have a November 25 financial report that I'll just kind of highlight the numbers real quickly. So in November, we're right at 41% of our year completed. And our revenues in our general fund are running at $6.8 million collected, which is 47% of our year. So we're doing well there. For our expenditures of our general fund, we have 5.6 million spent, and that's 39%. So we're below the level on that. So that's good. We're doing excellent at staying within our budget. Water and sewer fund, we have collected 3.8 million, which is 47%, which is very good. And we have spent 3.1 million, which is around 37%. So we're in excellent shape in all of our funds. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trexler.
Okay.
Thank you. Several months ago, we went ahead and we had a need for parking in the city, and citizens were complaining about the different parking and stuff like that. So I reached out to Mr. Robert Powell and asked him to head the parking task force, which he would like to present his report.
I wouldn't have come if I'd have known all these people were here. I can promise you that. So the parking task force is comprised of 15 people. We tried to get a cross section. We got business people, older people, younger people, a cross section of people in the community, and try to get feedback from them. I'm not sure I can work this, y'all. When I was on the city council, we didn't have this kind of thing. Evidently, I don't know what I'm doing.
You want me to do it for you?
Oh, I got it. Oh, it's running us ahead of itself. Okay, I'm good. So our goals were to evaluate the parking concerns and try to find some solutions and make some suggestions. And ultimately to make recommendations to the city board, who are the people that will help get this implemented. We want to get the whole community involved. So we are concerned about having good communications to everybody about what is decided and what is the best process for making parking situation better. I can thank the chief of fire chief, who's got went over the city with his drone, and he identified every parking lot and all the parking spaces in the city. And if you see up there, there's 27 different lots in Oxford. We'll provide the city board with a copy of these pictures. There are over 1,000 parking spaces in Oxford, and there were 48 handicap spaces. So as an effort to have an understanding of what is needed and get some opinions from businesses, individuals, we did some surveys. As you look at some of the numbers add up to over 100. And that's the reason, because some businesses had more than people that parked in one place or parked in the other, they parked on the street, or they parked in a private parking lot. So some of the numbers look like they're over 100%, which they add up to be a little bit higher than the total because of different personnel within the same building. One thing that we looked at is customer parking is about 79%, public lots are 38. So the situation is that the street parking is where the customers are parking. But we're finding out that street parking is where the people that own the businesses are parking also. So there's been some discussion about how do we going to control that? How are we going to make parking available for the public, and ask that the business owners and that and ask their employees to park in other designated spots. There's a time that we're at court time. Everybody knows that's a problem. I understand today that the court is having as many as 300 people a day come to court. So what do you do? Well, I spoke with somebody that was at the courthouse, and she said that she goes to Watkins Street. There are a lot of places over there, and they're never full. The court time, they're full, and so we need to look at some options about trying to better communicate what's happening with court, at court, and try to give them some other alternatives. The survey comments. We got comments from the community, and some of them are, it's always 2 hours parking is not being enforced. We do have signage, but we haven't in the last few years, or I guess in 10 or 15 years, enforced the 2 hour parking. 2 hour parking wasn't a problem 10 years ago because we didn't have any people on the street. Oxford's a growing community. It's hard to find. I was trying to pick up something uptown the other day. I rode around and around and around. I never found a place. I couldn't buy. I couldn't spend money. But Oxford's growing. We've got more demand for parking, so we've got to look at some other opportunities for finding parking. So in the surveys, you see 71% of the people said we need to do more enforcement. Signage is another area that is a great opportunity. I'll have another slide later on that. So if you look at signage, we have 2 hour signage in Oxford, but I don't know that anybody pays any attention to it. Actually, I didn't realize we had all these signs around it. I walked around one day and I said, you know, there are 2 hour signs here, and I've never paid any attention to them. But I hope I don't tend to stay longer than my allotted time. But the suggestion is to have better signage, and maybe we need to have some 30-minute parking. There's some businesses where people want to go in and pick up, and they'll be there 5 or 10 minutes. But if that space is taken, there's no opportunity for that parking space to turn over. Parking enforcement. There's some ways that in the future, and there's some high-tech people that is out of my league because I was a rotary phone when I was growing up. But there's a lot of technology out there that can be used to help enforce parking and the time for parking. How do we address illegal parking? We don't want to upset the community, but we want to make them aware of what needs to be done. And so we need to work together to sell the idea that we need to be more conscious about parking. We need to have enforcement of parking. So it's an example of some things that there was one place behind Ace Hardware that we don't have towing in Oxford signs. And so somebody called the police and asked about towing this car off. Well, there's no towing sign, so you can't tow them off. A truck had been parked behind Ace's Hardware in that parking lot for 3 weeks after the Hot Sauce Festival from Virginia. They did move the car around a little bit, but I mean a truck. It was actually a truck, but they left it there. So we had no way of enforcing towing until we had the signage. So that is some. I mean, I don't think anybody realized. I didn't realize that, but I can understand if your person says, you know, not warned, then they will have. We can't enforce that. There's some other ideas that we recommend about dedicated parking, where in which we're looking at with cooperation from the county and the sheriff, the city, all working together to look at more dedicated parking. This wayfinding signage is something I wasn't for that term, wayfinding signage, that's a term used. And if you look at it, what we think that needs to be done is that if we have better signage, people will be able to find the parking. They'll be able to find new locations to park. And so if we can improve the signage, we'll be able to direct people to where they need to go. Repurpose lots. There were some lots that, like on Watkins Street, that was basically used to store cars. We were able to, well, the county moved a lot of those cars. That particular lot, those two lots in there have about 41 spaces. Probably about 30 of those spaces were storing vehicles. So you can repurpose and move the vehicles to other lots in different places that are not important and store them, not in really important lots like on Watkins Street. We should have a communication plan for each parking change by way of using social media, newspapers, any kind of communication that we have in the community to let people know what we want to do, and then we'll make a plan to implement programs. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
You were talking about using technology.
That's correct.
So that I suspect if someone parks a car, you're talking about being able to communicate with them over their phone that their time has run out.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't. Well, the technology, you can use technology a lot of ways. One of the ways we'd like to use technology is for the court system to try to provide the people coming to court with information about where they can park. If you look behind the Orpheum Theater, nobody goes behind that alley. People are not aware of it. So if we could communicate better through technology, you can go Google Maps. A lot of times we can have all the parking spaces on Google Maps where people are coming into Oxford and can use them.
Okay, because I just want to let you know, folks cannot bring their phones into the courthouse.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I
They
hadn't
are
thought about-
not allowed to bring them into the
But when they-
courthouse and certainly not in the courtroom.
But when they
So
come
that
to
puts
town,
people at disadvantage if
Mhm.
you're talking about communicating with them.
When we talk about technology, if you go downtown Durham, or you go into Raleigh, and you pull into a parking lot, you can pay for stuff over your phone. And when your time's run out, I understand the courthouse people have a little issue, but this is an issue where if you go downtown and you park, you got to pay. If it's a parking a lot that you pay a fee for parking, you go in and you sign up, and when your time is running out, you get a text. Now we'll have to work on that for the courthouse. See if on the specific court dates, that parking space it's always available, just that nobody uses it. It wasn't behind the orphan like Mr. Powell was talking about. There's parking. It's just that nobody uses it. And that goes with the signage that we can do. And as we improve our signage and stuff like that, we would divert them where they need to go park. And hopefully the court system, when they issue their dates, they send their letters out, they can have some note on there telling that everyone that's coming to the court where to park, to look for specific parking for the courthouse. And that will help us quite a bit, help the business downtown, because those are the people who are really suffering with the issue of parking.
yeah, and the other thing that's important, we think, is having some short-term parking, which would be 15 to 30 minutes. The post office has it, and they flip it, but and we have it there, but there's some businesses where it's critical. People just come in and out, in and out. And if somebody's parked there all day long, and there are people that park all day long downtown on the city streets. I see it every day.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make it clear, whatever you might think, everybody that goes to courthouse aren't criminals
Oh, no.
trying to go in there and deal with their case. There are juries that come to our courthouse who get pissed that they got to walk 2-3 blocks to get to the courthouse. I mean, there are businesses right around the courthouse that take up a lot of parking spaces with big trucks and all kinds of other stuff.
True.
So citizens are not upset so much that, there's an issue with parking around the courthouse, except that, sometimes when they come for jury service and things where they're serving the community with their time to be jurors, to be witnesses, and it's difficult for them to get into that, into the courthouse with reasonableness. I mean, I already can't bring the phones and stuff like that in.
I understand.
But there are businesses right in the center of our city who take up a lot of parking spaces with a bunch of trucks and all kinds of stuff. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
I think this presentation by Mr. Powell is just an initial phase of what we need to do. So as the parking authority and the board members get together and hold meetings, we'll do a lot better. Mr. Taylor, would you like to say anything on this?
Sure. Just to make you aware that obviously we got an advance copy of their recommendations.
Right.
So staff is currently working on developing a plan for the commissioners to approve. I suspect we'll have it within a month or two, and for you to approve, and also to get out to the community even before you approve it.
Exactly.
So we'll be working on that.
Is the county going to get involved in this courthouse system since they are?
We have communications with the county.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Powell.
Yeah.
And I know we probably ain't there yet. But in the future, we might want to consider, I go to a lot of other small municipalities, and I've seen that other small municipalities have implemented parking garages. And I know that we have that parking lot that's behind Strong Arm. And as the city grow, in the future, we might want to consider maybe placing a parking garage there.
All of those things are on the table.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, we go into the public comment section. Just a reminder, if If you want to talk in the public comment section, you have 3 minutes to speak. And please refrain from any personal attacks. Just being general. Okay? So we have the first person up is, I think, is Rosalind Green, 4181 Shop, Overton Road, Oxford.
Good evening. My name is Rosalind Green from 4181 Shock Overton Road in Oxford, North Carolina. I am here this evening to show my support for Scotty Brooks to be appointed to Brian Cohen's seat on the Oxford City Council Commissioner that has become vacant. Mr. Scotty Brooks was a candidate for the Oxford City Commissioner in the 2023 Oxford City race, so I'm sure y'all are familiar with him. I have known Scotty for years, since 2008 when I moved back to Oxford, and he has assisted me behind the scenes in setting up for various Mary Potter Artscape, the Culture Fest. Frankly, with the Culture Fest, his entire family, I was able to solicit to help. And also lifting heaven boxes for me at ACIM. And I say that because I just want to let you know that he is a community-oriented person and that he will help you or anyone when asked in a timely manner. From several conversations with Scotty while volunteering with him, he has been interested in the Oxford becoming a mecca for new businesses, homelessness. He wants to take care of the homeless problem, zoning and recreation, and fairness across communities in Oxford. He will be a dedicated commissioner for the city of Oxford. Scotty is a listener, a critical thinker, creative, and a problem solver, and to me, a people person, and he loves Oxford. He has not lost hope in Oxford, in his hometown. He is concerned about improving issues related to all races and ethnic groups and the community. We, the younger generation, need to be involved and stay involved in Oxford. And I think Scotty can bring a lot of resources from the younger generation. I ask each of you, the commissioners, to vote yes at the time, when it comes time to appoint the vacancy here on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Green. Next up is Mr. Larry Thomas from 207 East Front Street, Oxford. Mr. Thomas.
I wrote everything out. I'm always interested in the debt service for the city of Oxford, so I started reading the audit report that you all so kindly posted, and I had a few questions about it. On the page 68, there's a standalone sentence that reads, at June 30th, 2024, the city of Oxford has a legal debt margin of $50,550,000. I don't know what that means. I don't speak accountant, but it shows in the table directly above that statement that the government activities are about $11 million in debt, and the business type activities are about $32.5 million in debt. Does the statement mean that the legal debt margin of the city that we can currently borrow is around $7,500,000? Or does it mean that the city is able to borrow up to $50,550,000? When you look at your projected expenditures and you look at the things you're talking about, police stations, different things like that, I'm mostly concerned about water and sewer, but in one iteration of your city CEIP, over the next 4 years, you are planning on spending $86,500,000. Fiscal year 26 is $3 million. Fiscal year 27 is $10 million. Fiscal year 28 is $3.5 million. And then in fiscal year 29, you're talking about $70 million for the wastewater treatment plant. And I think the real question is, are you going to be able to meet these limits? And, you know, the steps you're going to need to take to meet these limits. If you're interested, on pages 64 through 67, they show the breakdown of the authorizations and the status of these expenditures. you still got 24 million that's authorized that you haven't spent. So I'm wondering, are you going to spend it? Can you spend it? I think that's some questions you need to look at. And finally, on a lighter note, I asked a couple of months ago about the hiring of the construction inspector. And I just wondered where that was. And I asked about the street lights on College Street. Got an answer, said they're on order, but they hadn't gotten here yet. If you had an update on when they'll get here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, and we'll work and get your update this week or early next week on the lighting on College Street, the questions you have. Next up is Ms. Carmen McGee, 107 Warren Avenue, Hospital, North Carolina.
Good evening.
Amen.
Karen McGee, 107 Warren Avenue, Oxford. And I am here on behalf of Granville County Fuller Center for Housing and for everybody else, formerly Habitat for Humanity for Granville County. And my reason for being up here today is that we have a house on 209, I got to take the glasses off, 209 King Street in Oxford, North Carolina, 27565. We have a Facebook page, Granville County Fuller Center for Housing, and the board members, of which I'm one, are going around to all the municipalities, STEM, Stovall, Oxford, even to the county, because we are offering this house to a public, Granville County public employee. And so we want all the public employees to know it's 1385 square feet, brand new modular home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath on an 8,500 square foot lot, priced at $250,000. And if you go to the Facebook page, it has the application right there for people to apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. McGee. This concludes our public comment section for the evening. We are getting ready to go into the public hearing and city business. Understand with due to the large capacity we have here, there's folks down in the training room downstairs. We do not have unless if Mr. Snide can tell me, do we have a camera set up where they can speak and ask questions? Okay, that's since we're not here with that technology yet. Those folks down in the training room, when it gets to your turn or your subject, please come on up here and we'll get you up in front to speak. So thank you. The first item for business tonight is to hold a public hearing for a conditional rezoning request consisting of 409 plus acres from AR40 to RMU residential mixed-out use. CU located on Landis, Salem, and Tabbs Creek Road. Public hearing. Yes, let's do that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take one step back. The gentleman would like to make a presentation, which is very critical to this process. So we'd like to give him the opportunity to do his presentation, and then we can move forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Preston Royster. I work for Thomas & Hudden over in Durham. We're the design engineer of record for the Hunt Landis development project on Landis Road, Salem Road, and Tabbs Creek Road in northeast Granville County, just northeast of the city limits of Oxford. So I'll try and make this brief. There we go. So just give you, everybody probably knows where the site is, but the site's outlined in red. You can see the city limits in black adjacent to it. The corporate limits are just to the southwest. Obviously, the site will have to be annexed into the city, assuming it's zoned appropriate or rezoned tonight. The site will obviously have to meet all the annexation requirements. We've submitted the petition to planning for review, and I believe it's going through the process right now. The plan, as you mentioned, is to rezone the site to RMU, which is residential mixed use. This shows the general area of the site and the adjacent zonings next to it. There are a couple other residential developments just to the west and the south, and of course Oxford Preparatory School is to the east or west side of the site, and then Oxford Park is up to the northwest. So the residential mixed use zoning district is, I've got the permitted uses listed here. We don't need to go through all of them, but if there's any questions, we can step back and look at what's allowed by right in this zoning district. So we'll get a little bit down to I guess the meat and potatoes of it, what everybody really wants to see is this is a preliminary site layout. It shows the breakdown of the housing types, the commercial areas, and then recreation areas, as well as conserved open space and environmental features. So what we are proposing on the site tonight is part of the residential mixed use. We'll get to that in just a second. This is the road, rough road layout that was part of the sketch plan submittal to the city. The site will be constructed in phases. This is a preliminary phasing plan. Right now we've got 13 phases that will be dictated based on the construction drawing submittal, which will come later. Some of the pertinent details to the project site or to the project, like as you mentioned, is 409 acres. The RMU allows up to 14 units per acre. We are proposing 4.56 units per acre, and that will be broken down between single-family homes, townhomes, and assisted living homes. In addition to that, there will be recreation features as well as commercial component to this. And these numbers, the housing numbers noted here, are based on the TIA that was submitted to the city as well as NCDOT, which we received comments on. So as part of the commitments for this project, obviously we'll have to meet all the city UDO and zoning ordinance regulations. We are dedicating a portion of the site to the Oxford Preparatory School for whatever they deem to be fit to put on that portion of the site. And we are also committing to exceeding the required open space requirements for the RMU zoning district. So as I mentioned, there was a traffic impact analysis performed for the site. Obviously, there are lots of off-site road improvements required as the traffic generated from the project is significant for the area. Those off-site improvements will have to be constructed by the developer. Those will likely be phased as well with the construction. This is a summary of what DOT required or the DOT comments on the project. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions that y'all may have on the project tonight.
Thank you very much for your presentation, sir.
Yes, sir. Y'all very welcome. Thank you.
We don't have any questions. Now we're moving to the public hearing. Hold a public hearing for conditional rezoning requests of the 4.9 acres from AR-40 to RMU residential mixed use to be located in Landis, Salem, and Tabbs Creek. Public hearing not open. Item 5.2, consider approving the conditional rezone. Oh, I'm right. Public hearing's not open. I'm sorry, guys. So at this time, I would like to reach out to anyone in this, to my right, that would like to speak on this public hearing. Please do so. And as we move along, if you want to speak, please raise your hand. I'm not going to allow you to come and speak from your seat. We want everyone up here, and we're recording so everybody needs to hear. So the gentleman right here.
Good evening, everybody. Commissioners, members of the board. Thank you for serving us.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, could you ask everybody to give their name and
Oh,
address?
yes, I'm sorry. Please give your name, address, and location.
My name is
for the
Kelly
record.
Snow. I live at 4075 Squire Lane. Okay. So again, thank you all for serving us publicly. This is the first government function I've ever attended, driven in part by the recent devastation in our country. And while this development may or may not go forward, I don't know, okay? What I've heard tonight, just leading up to this discussion, was we don't have enough parking, right? We have problems with business capacity downtown, correct? All right. What do these things fall under for government? These are basic functions of government. Now, a little bit angry at where we are as a country and a united people. But the people that are suffering presently in Western North Carolina, the Southeast, and our beloved fellow citizens in California are in the situation they are in now. And this is just my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Because government has failed to provide the basic functions, whether it's parking, space, or whatnot. From Oxford, North Carolina, to Washington, D.C., our government repeatedly has failed us in its basic functions to protect our safety and our security. So, you're a fellow Marine, right? I don't say, take that back, 82nd Airborne, but fellow veteran. You're fine. Okay. I'm standing up here representing the anger of 330 million Americans who have suffered over the past decades because people in power, people in government have forgotten the first 3 words of the United States Constitution. Now, Mr. McRae, when you were a Marine and you were told to be somewhere, what time you were supposed to be there?
I was told to be there.
When you were told to be there, right?
Yeah, whatever time it was.
If it was 7 o'clock, you had better be there probably 6:45.
At least.
Right? What time did our meeting start tonight? It started at 7:07. When I walked in here, it said it's going to start at 7. That basic, seemingly minuscule disrespect wouldn't be allowed by my employer if I showed up 5 minutes late. You work for us, the meeting starts at 7, the meeting starts at 7. This might seem trivial, but this is the level of accountability the United States citizens are going to have to hold our government to. So, I don't know who's going to say what next or what's coming, but I would implore you to listen to what they have to say. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have anyone else? Sir? Please state your name and your address for the record.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Bond Williams. I reside at 5689 Tabbs Creek Road. It's on the east side of the Landis Hunt development. I'm here to speak in opposition of it based on the density and also them not being able to conform to the current UDO based on the current layout. Density wise, I mean, we're talking about, what is it? 1,300 houses, 450 townhomes, and 120 bed assisted living facility with 2.5 people per household plus the 120. You're looking at 4,500 people just there. Plus, you had Oxford Park, you had, or not Oxford Park, they passed it there, but Oxford Prep and the school there, the development of the Triangle Industrial Park, and the number, the roads are already, to a point that they're, overflowing just with Oxford Prep there now. So, I mean, you had 4,500 more people there. What is that going to do? I know they've got traffic studies and they got to put in lights, but that isn't going to do a whole lot for, what is going to be there when it's completed. So I think, we need to take that into consideration along with the other satellite annexation that the board's already approved. We're talking about having more citizens of Oxford living outside of continuous city limits than inside, with Cruise Pond, Oxford Park, and the other satellite annexations. We're not living, I know it's considered city limits, but they're going to be outside of the city limits, continuous area, and having to provide the same services as required by, the state. So that needs all to be taken into consideration. As far as not being able to meet the current UDO, in Chapter 8, as far as buffers are required, they're required to maintain a 20-foot buffer between the subdivision and the existing other zoning requirements, other zoned areas. And even though where they adjoin is not city, it still needs to be considered, and they should be required to maintain the buffers as required in the city ordinances. And with the way they've proposed the subdivision at this point, they've got 5 points where their roads are actually touching the adjoining properties, which are all actually in a subdivision. So there's no way for them to possibly maintain a 20-foot buffer. I don't think that's been taken into consideration in there. And they're not bound by the layouts they've proposed. Even the areas where townhomes are versus the single-family residential, they are bound by the 4.5 units per acre, but they are able to make changes to that. And I think they need to be bound to their, original layout by some means. But it does need to be noted in the minutes that they cannot meet the required buffers as proposed in the UDO. So I've got some handouts that y'all can take a look at. I circled the areas where their subdivision meets.
Thank you, sir.
All I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. I also have handouts, copies of my remarks for the commissioners.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and your address?
Yes, sir. My name is Henry Moray. I live at 4098 Salem Road, Oxford, North Carolina. And that is within the Graham Estates subdivision, which would directly border the Hunt Landis proposal. So as growth comes to Oxford, it will be crucial to harmonize this growth with the existing rural character of our area. My intent this evening is to constructively advocate for enhancements to the Hunt Landis proposal that would move toward this goal of harmony with improvements to density and improvements to buffer. Regarding density, unfortunately, the Hunt Landis proposal, as currently written, would compromise the serenity of our rural Graham Estates subdivision by causing a sharp uptick in noise and light pollution. With 4.56 units per acre versus Graham Estates 0.12, it would create an abrupt 38 times difference in density, plus, of course, the noise and light pollution that would come along with that, along a 6,100 foot, so that's over a mile, border with lots either directly part of Graham Estates or adjoined to a Graham Estates lot with the same owner. Now, the good news is that if just one of the 4 proposed parcels for the Hunt Landis proposal, specifically the 6055 Tabbs Creek parcel, were to be rezoned to even the second least intensive residential zoning under the UDO, and that second least intensive residential zoning, of course, would be Conservation RA. This would contribute to a smoother density transition along the border with our established community of Graham Estates. Additionally, a residential zoning designation for this 6055 Tabbs Creek parcel would provide assurance to our community and our established subdivision of Graham Estates, which has been there since 1993. It would provide assurance to our community that no future change to the development plan could leverage the proposed RMU zoning to place commercial development along the border with, again, what is our established rural subdivision. Now that's regarding density. Moving on to buffer. If proposed zoning intensity were to be reduced to RA conservation for that 6055 Tabbs Creek parcel that I mentioned a moment ago, this would, of course, significantly mitigate the density difference between Hunt Landis and Graham Estates, and that'd be a huge step in the right direction. but it would still leave a 17 times difference in density between the two subdivisions. So a natural buffer owned and maintained by the Hunt-Landis HOA would therefore additionally be crucial to a comfortable transition between our existing rural subdivision and this more moderate density development that would be a part of Oxford's growth. So fortunately, the developer already has proposed natural preservation areas marked as number 4 on their map, including between their neighborhood streets and the property line along part of the border with lots held by Graham Estates owners. Now, unfortunately, that's currently only part of the border. The developer could achieve an appropriate buffer by simply expanding these natural preservation areas along the remainder of that border and modestly adjusting the route of a handful of streets at the southeastern corner of the proposal, as came up just a moment ago. I believe Hunt-Landis has the potential. If some changes are made, I think Hunt-Landis really does have the potential to harmonize with our existing rural community and to be a good part of the growth that we have coming to Oxford. Where we can grow, we should grow, and we will grow, but it really has to be done right and has to be done in a way that's going to harmonize with our existing rural communities. And the two trying to come here constructively, the two potential changes I have bolded in the remarks that I handed out just a moment ago. So I want to thank the commissioners for your time this evening, and I'll gladly answer any questions you may have for me.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have anyone else in the session? Please come forward. Please state your name and your address for the record, sir.
Rodney Heinz, 4191 Indian Trail in the Parham Woods area. I'm here to speak against the Hunt-Landis proposal. Oxford's a very comfortable city to live in. A population of 8,700, 6.24 square miles. Your numbers may be slightly different, but pretty close. With a density of 1,380 people per square mile, approximately 3,450 households. The Hunt-Landis proposal would like to add, I have 1,870, but I saw up here this evening it was 1,800, but still very close. They would like to add 1,800 more new units. And at 2.5 persons per unit would be 4,675 additional in the population. Hunt-Landis is 409 acres, which is about 0.64 square miles. This would give the Hunt-Landis density population approximately 7,300 people per square mile, which is approximately 5 times as much as what the city of Oxford has. It just seems like people crowding. The future use guide says, and it's a recommendation, 4 units per acre. Hunt-Landis would like 4.56, but it's still outside the recommendation of your own future use guide. Yes, we want growth. It would be, I'm not against a subdivision over there. We live right near it in Parham Woods, but we have room to breathe. We can't reach out and touch our neighbor like in this proposed deal. But the fire department and the police department also must be able to handle the growth. We heard tonight they can't handle parking administration. How in the world are they going to handle 5,000 more people? You know, I see many neighborhoods with much room to grow. But I still only see one fire department. And when was the last time the police chief said, you know, we don't really need any more officers? Concerning the infrastructure, I think too many places have used the if they come, we will build it mentality. It hasn't worked for Los Angeles. It's terrible what's happening out there. It was because of planning. It wasn't planned right. And that's what I'm asking you all to look at, the planning. Do we want to put 5,000 people in a real little bitty area? Growth, yes, but in line with Oxford is. Not a highly densely populated area where people have a little room to breathe the Carolina air. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to the right? Thank you. Right?
Good evening. Oh, I've been doing this since
Can I,
1974.
Mr. Hancock, can I get your name, your address, please?
And my name is Wills Hancock, and I'm the principal broker and owner of Century 21 Hancock Properties. And I've seen a huge amount of change in real estate over my last 45 or 50 years in the way people want to come to the community and what they want to live in and what their density levels are. And I was a principal developer, my family's principal developer of Green Acres subdivision. And at that point in time, we developed it from about 1950 to maybe 1980. And we had half acre to 1 acre lots. And that's what people wanted at that particular time. But if I can just give you just a little bit of information. Everybody good? Okay. If I were standing in front of you tonight and I were saying to you, and before I get into this, let me just say I want to applaud the citizens who came forward and spoke to you tonight because they were expressing genuine concern about their neighborhood and their community. And that's what they're supposed to do. And I've been doing this, like I said, for a very long period of time. And I would like to think that I only get involved in projects that are quality projects that help grow and support the community. If I were standing here tonight and I were talking to you about Revlon Corporation and Dill Manufacturing and Shelag and Santa Fe Natural Tobacco Company, those are all companies that I personally brought to this community. And if I was saying to you, look, I want to take those industries and I want to put them on Hunt Landis, there'd be a huge amount of excitement in this room. Justifiably so. But I would also like to say to you, since 1990, based on current census information, the gentleman pointed some of it out, from 1990 until 2025, Oxford has grown a grand total of 392 homes. People, not homes, people. That's virtually no growth in 35 years. That's not good for a community. A community needs to grow. It needs to have new people coming in. It needs to be vibrant. We need to have shops and shopping centers and grocery stores and all of those things that are appropriate for the community. And we just haven't. But if I take the other side of it, and I'd like to say as well that our charter school has written a letter of support for this subdivision. They're very much in favor of it. They see the value in it. It has a 9-hole golf course, which they hope to use and utilize with their students. It has other recreational facilities that they will also incorporate into their agenda. And this developer, I hear the word development often. And you kind of have to know who the people you're dealing with are. I can tell you that the primary developer here does not use the word developer, use the word community. And there's a huge difference between a community and a development. And that's what we hope to accomplish here. I understand that people think that the housing's too tight and they might be inconvenienced by the amount of traffic, and they probably will be. But with that comes other things that I think are more part of it. And if I talked about all of those industries that came into town, if I take the tax value of all those industries, it's about $105 million in tax value a year. If I take the tax value of this subdivision, once it's completed, which is 7 to 10 years, it's $598 million that we add to our tax rolls, which generates over $3 million a year for both our city and our county, which are vital to help us build our schools, to help us do some of the things that we've complained about tonight. It takes money to create things that we need to get done. And so what I would say to you in passing is this is a high quality subdivision. This is a quality product for the town of Oxford. This is something that will help us grow. And I understand community concerns, and they should be concerned, and they should ask all the questions they need to ask. But at the end of the day, hopefully 4,000 to 5,000 new people will come in and take pride in the fact that they're Oxonians. And I would ask you very humbly for your vote and support tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Anyone in the middle? Center room would like to speak? Ma'am, come forward.
Her hand was up first, Eddie.
You're next, Mr. McCoy.
Good evening. I'm Kathy May, 4093 Salem Farm Road in Oxford. I'm not, and nor are our neighbors, against growth and development within reason, but a development of this magnitude would turn our beautiful countryside into a ridiculous, jam-packed circus that would be a traffic nightmare. Traffic already backs up every morning at the blinking light where the Loop Road intersects Salem Road. It also backs up where Tabbs Creek Road intersects 158. And Oxford Preparatory School is right in the middle of all this with 851 students and plans to expand and increase overall enrollment by 33% by 2027. I'm wondering also where the water and sewer is going to come from for this number of people. That is something that can't be ignored. I also want to say that there are currently 182 homes for sale in Granville County based on what Zillow posts today. 93 of those are in the city limits of Oxford. You know, we already have housing developments that you've annexed on Highway 96 South, Highway 15 South. Each home in the Meadows at Oxford, which is out on Highway 96 South, was put up in a matter of days, which is a red flag for quality. We were left with, if anybody has ridden down there, with a cookie cutter group of houses that are on postage stamp size lots that will be there long after we're all dead. But why do we even want that kind of development in our beautiful historic town? We can't go back and undo what's already done, but we can do better going forward for the future. Please don't make your decision about this huge development based on dollar signs. Our community needs safe, human-oriented streets, and we cannot possibly have that if this annexation is approved exactly as it's proposed with this amount of people. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. McCoy. Mr. McCoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eddie McCoy, 408 Kingsbury Street, concerned citizen. Like this, I wish it'd be like this everybody. The city board, we had a real estate man, Mr. Williams, come up here, and he say that he disapproved that site, which he's go along. It's fine with me. But do y'all know who he is on the board? He got run houses in this city. Did you know that? He has run houses in this city. And a lot of them is not, desirable, the profit and everything. So I think that be nice if, that you try to look after your property and set an example before you talk about what somebody else gonna do.
Can I have someone and next in the middle? I'll get back to you, sir. Anyone's there?
Lady right here in the front.
Ma'am, please come forward.
I've never been to one of these, but I teach, so I'm used to talking on the fly, and I didn't prepare anything. My name is Cynthia Blake. I live at 4078 Salem Farm Road. I think that one of the things that I do in my profession, KB, I talk.
Take the mic in your hand.
One of the things that I do in my profession is constantly pulling together data. And what I've heard is you don't have the infrastructure in this town for having that many people live here. You've got homes that people don't even buy anyway. So, and we don't have the say, you don't know what it's been like to live on that road. When I first came in here in 2003, we built this house. My neighbors that I had, there were so many that weren't even in the neighborhood then, and they built, and we loved it. I have some new neighbors in the back that are in a house that wasn't even there when I moved there to start with. So we do not have a problem with progress. There's, the school came, but going to school every day, going to work every day with a mile of traffic was absolutely egregious every day. And waiting. And we just finally got a light. My children will tell you that for months and years, I stopped at the end of that road every day and said, you know what we need right here? A light. And they laughed at me for years. And we finally got a light, which, by the way, is jacked up because one side says, go yield this way and yield this way, and we're going to end up wrecking. How many people do you want to wreck? You got children driving out of those schools. Remember what you were like when you were driving out of those schools? So now you got weather. We just had our first little bout of weather we haven't had in forever. Here we go. Now you got teenagers driving the weather. You're adding so many people. And I love this young man who brought up the charm of this town. Who lives in Oxford? You have two groups of people. You have people who've been here forever and they love it and they stay. And then you got people who are not from here and they want this kind of environment. They're not in Wake County. They came here for a reason. They don't want to be beside a golf course. Of course, if they did, they'd be in Wake County. So you're putting things here that we don't want here. I want you to grow. I see we've got the breweries and all these places. I want to go places. I would love for us to have a Chick-fil-A at Oxford. But I also don't want to lose what I have. I don't want the light pollution. I don't want the noise pollution. I don't want my children to get hit in the road because we have too many people all the time. And you can't even park when you come in the town of Oxford. I need you to think about all the data that you've gotten. You've got real people living in this real small, wonderful rural community that we do want it to grow, but we don't want to bust out the seams so you forget who we really are. Don't forget us.
Thank you, ma'am. You're a working man.
My name is Rob Barker. I live at 5668 Taft Creek Road, but I also own 5658 Taft Creek Road. I'm here to speak in opposition to it for basically all the reasons that have already been brought up. Am I against growth? No, I get that. People say, well, things need to grow. I get that. But I agree 100% with what Cynthia just said. People came here for a reason. They don't want all that stuff. And as far as being close together, my oldest daughter lives in Statesville. She lives in the country club type area, golf club type area, nice houses. They're about as far from here to that wall from each other. No yard, nothing. And I think a guy married a girl from Oxford, still the mayor of Statesville. He was anyway, Costi Cute, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. My grandfather used to be mayor pro tem. He owned 2 or 3 businesses in Oxford. That was many years ago. Probably none of you even remember him, Lonnie Breedlove. Some of you older people may remember that. My other grandfather basically owned Dexter, if you know where Dexter is. That's where he grew up. He had 9 children. So my farm, and I have a farm ID, what I'm concerned about is trying to get possibly annexed in the city. I turned 65 last Tuesday. My daughter pulled up some stuff from back in the day when I was born, and it said in 1960 the average house cost $12,700. If we were to get annexed, I'm paying about half that now on what I got. Would I be paying what it cost to buy a house in 1960 if we were to get annexed in the city? That's my concern. And like Cynthia said, it's like Daytona 500 on our road sometimes in the morning. I have been thinking about maybe talking to a few highway patrolmen about trying to police our road a little bit. One day my wife pulled out. You can look and look and look, not see anything coming. You pull out, boom, car comes over the hill like it's running 70 miles an hour in a 55. And I've had it happen to me because I leave home about 7 o'clock every morning. As far as development, I've been a mailman in Henderson, North Carolina for 40 years. I have seen it grow tremendously. Some things are good, some things are bad. What's bad? Crime and so forth, which we've heard for years. A lot more crime in Henderson than it is Oxford. What's going to happen if we keep on adding and adding and adding and adding? People came here for a reason, to get the small town home advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have someone else, anyone here in the middle? Sir?
Good evening. Andrew Swanner. I'm a resident at 112 Byron Court. Also the founder and executive director of Oxford Preparatory School, the charter school in reference the proposed development. Also with me tonight are two of our board members as well, Jason Overby and Jason Pegram. And I sent in my comments to you all recently, but we are in here in support of the proposal, and then I'll just kind of read a summary of that. On behalf of the school administration and the board of directors of Oxford Preparatory School, I'm writing to express our enthusiastic support for the proposed mixed residential and commercial development of the Hunt Farm property adjacent to our campus. As a high-performing college prep independent charter school that serves many families from Oxford and 5 surrounding counties, this development will significantly enhance our community and provide numerous benefits to our students, our staff, and the broader Oxford area. Just some key things that we're looking at is enhanced recreational opportunities for our students, and the closer they can do that to our campus, the better off that we're able to serve them. We're looking to expand our athletic facilities. We're not blessed with capital funds or land grants to operate our school. It all comes out of our operating budget, and we've done that without any private benefactors. And so we've been able to be strategic and add facilities to serve our students over time. And there are certain facilities that we don't have on our campus that many schools do, and we want to be able to offer our students, and this is an opportunity to do that. We're looking for improved connectivity, the potential green space connections to our campus, in which we already have walking trails on our campus, and the proposal that I've seen would enhance that and include that, and can make connectivity to our campus not only by vehicle but also by bike and by pedestrian. Also, while we've had a relatively low turnover rate with our staff, fortunately, the past few years, when we've had to bring in new staff, regardless of available housing stock that might exist, it's really difficult for our educators to find an affordable place to live. So only by increasing the supply of housing is going to be a #1 way to address to create more affordable housing, whether through those new units or the existing housing stock. Also, for economic growth, I think the tax revenue benefits have been talked about. We all know that infrastructure is a big goal for our city, and this can be a way to help achieve that. And really, we embrace the idea of a mixed-use development that could benefit our families, to create a vibrant and walkable neighborhood that complements everything we're doing on campus. So we believe this development will be an excellent neighbor for Oxford Preparatory School, enhancing our students and our staff's quality of life while contributing to our community's overall growth and prosperity. The combination of residential, commercial, and recreational spaces will create a dynamic environment that aligns with our goal of providing well-rounded education. We urge the City Commissioners to approve this development proposal, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. Some of my board members, we want to take a break 5 minutes, and we get right back on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. I really appreciate it. No, the way it's currently written would not determine if we've already got it, because we've got a good plan. We're not trying to be down here for all that.
Good call, Mayor Fulton. Good call. How long we got to go? All right, are we ready?
Yeah. Call
I guess you got to hit it harder. Okay, Carlos. I know so well. Okay. We all say thank you for that much needed break.
It's getting hot over there.
As we continue, anyone else from the middle of the room? Ma'am, come forward, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Loretta Gatz. I go by Lori. I am at 4072 Salem Farm Road here in Oxford. I lived in Cary for many, many years, and I saw it sprawl from Apex and Raleigh, Holly Springs, and pretty soon you didn't even know that there was a difference between them because the streets just kind of all came together. I saw these, the homes and the communities go from being good middle-class homes and great schools to being overburdened by a whole bunch of different, townhomes going up and things like that. And the traffic got worse. And I moved here a year and a half ago to get away from it. And so now I'm heard that just right across the road from Salem Farm, now they're looking at this development. I'm like most people, I think, that are here. We're not opposed to growth. We're not opposed to seeing the growth that has here in Oxford. I think that there's an opportunity. I think my concern is not only the infrastructure with the traffic, it is the police, it is the fire. I think that that's a real big concern. And I think that it's hard when you have, people who are, I know that there's a lot of people that have their own opinions, but I'm not coming here with an agenda, right? I'm not going to get paid more for being up here. I'm not filling my pockets by anybody. This is just me. I came here because I really love the small community, but the feel of this town. I love the historic pieces, the historic walks that we have. And I would like to see some growth here, but I just think it needs to be done in a way where there's not, 2,000, 1,300 square foot homes and the 450 townhomes or whatever that is. It's just too condensed for this area. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Anna, 902 Roxborough Road, Oxford. Quick question. What do we consider affordable housing? Because I just asked, and the, average could be 375 and up. And I don't know of many teachers that consider that affordable. I myself am not a teacher, and I don't consider it affordable. So I'm just wondering what we all think affordable housing is. Is that reasonable that we're calling this affordable housing when who can afford to do that? If you have a townhome, of course, that's going to be a little less. And yes, they explain their incentives and things like that. But is that really affordable? That's just my question.
Thank you. Anyone else in the middle section? Okay, I move to my left. Sir?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phil Rifkin. I live at 4194 Indian Trail Road in Oxford, in the Parham Woods development. I've heard a lot of people talking about money and about what it's like to live in crowded housing. I want to tell you what it's like. I come from New York. I moved here in 2009. Why? Because I wanted to get away from what was in New York. I didn't live in the city. I lived on Long Island, which is the suburbs. And what happened on Long Island is what's happening here. It turned into part of the city. I lived on a 1,200 square foot house on 2/10 of an acre. And I'll tell you what it's like. If your neighbors have an argument, you hear it. If somebody has their stereo up too loud, you hear it. And what I want to know is what's going to happen here when you add this many people. Who's going to pay the taxes to run the water lines? Where are we going to get more police? Where are we going to get the electricity from? We have enough fault in our electrical system right now where I live that if there's a storm or a big wind or something like that, I can be out of electricity for 14 hours. I'll give you an idea about police. A couple of years ago, I was in the middle of town and my burglar alarm went off. And I raced to my house. And I mean, I was hauling. I was doing over 70 miles an hour. I beat the policeman to my house. Now, if they can't cover what we have now, what are you going to do with 4,500 more people? Where are you going to get the police? Where are you going to get the fire? Where are you going to get the water, the electricity, the teachers, the schools? You got one school that approves it. Well, I have friends that are school teachers, and they're saying we don't have the room in our schools for the students we have now. Something to think about. I lived it. I moved down here, and God placed me in heaven here because this is a beautiful place. I don't mind growth, but let's not double it or triple it or jump from one place very far into the future. Plan it well. Grow slowly. Grow well. And anything you build, make sure that the codes are good. Don't just build because somebody says, listen, I got a plan for you and we can make affordable housing. Let me tell you, when you start having a lot of people like this in affordable housing, your crime rate goes up. And that affects everything else. Something to think about. That's why I moved to where I am now, because it's a beautiful place. This town has beautiful people. You can't go up to a New York City policeman and shake his hand. And that's when I left. And I moved here in 2009. I can go up to any fireman, any policeman, and thank him for his service. And they smile and shake my hand. Please, think about some of these things. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side? To the left, sir. And then lady next.
Good night. Austin Babacar, 212 Granville Street. I wasn't going to speak, but you know, as I see this development, I say I got to say something because I'm a part of this community. Some time ago, somebody invited me to Person County because many people trust me outside of this community. And basically it was about, could you speak for us in terms of the electric? And so it's strange going into Person County, you don't live there, and they ask you to come and speak. The people ask you to come and speak. And I'll say this. I said to the city people, and I said to the county people, when you're going to do something, remember to invite the people in. And you're doing that. Invite the people in whenever there's an expansion. I said it to the county people. I said it to the light people, to Duke people. The Duke people. And I said to the Duke people, the Duke power, whenever you're coming in a community, the people are not rich to pay all that money. So invite them to come in to a meeting such as this. And so I want to thank you for inviting the people in, and you are going to have to keep doing that on a regular basis, because right now the people are wondering what exactly is going on. We got to move on. We got to expand, but continue to invite in the people to speak. And what I suggested to Person County, I'll suggest to you also. At all times when you have something on the agenda, invite the people. That we, the people that that man spoke about, continue to invite them and let them tell you exactly how they feel about it. And from there, you can move forward. Keep inviting the people to share their opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ma'am, you raise your hand earlier. You do? Please, come on forward.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Frazier. I live in the city of Oxford at 203 Westdale Drive in the Thorndale community. January 2022, I had the privilege to move to this town. This is my husband's hometown. And I have grown to love Oxford and the small town that we are, but also how we are growing, because growth is inevitable. My husband and I were not opposed to the growth, but I am opposed to this. We enjoy this community, this tight-knit feel that you can walk out and you feel the energy. Yes, we're growing, but it's still small and cozy. Please think about that energy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Sargent. I live at 114 High Street here in the city of Oxford. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. And to all of you that have already come forward to voice your opinions. This is such a difficult decision. The landowners have dreams for their property. The developers have worked hard and invested time and treasure. And the people have dreams for what their community will be like. I just wanted to bring up a few thoughts that I had when I looked at this item, and if they've already been addressed by you previously with the planning department and so on, please forgive me. First, I'm not speaking for or against, just bringing up some things to consider. As has been mentioned, water and wastewater services. The water plant is under expansion, outstanding. I would assume that with respect to water allocation, there's plenty. I do have the impression, though, that with respect to the wastewater treatment plant, we are well on our way to already committing the capacity that we have. And I know that part of that is because there are already 1,000 or so dwelling units that are at some point in the planning phases. And so there have been tentative commitments made for allocation. How that works, to my understanding, is first come, first serve. When a site plan is ready and been approved by all the appropriate parties, and in Raleigh at that point, the commitment to allocate funds becomes solid from the city of Oxford. So my comment related to that is just to suggest maybe that at this point, it might be appropriate, if the board deems that it wants to go forward with approving the rezoning and so forth, that there be some kind of memorandum of understanding with the developer that's on paper, not just a verbal, well, you know, we can't guarantee that we're going to have the water and the sewer for you when you build out, so that the city is protected in the event that that should come to pass. It may not come to pass. It depends on who, but I think that given where we are with the wastewater treatment plant and pending commitments, that it's possible. With respect to the recreation space requirements on page 159 of the UDO, I think it's chapter 7, paragraph 4.5, it says that at least half of the total land dedicated for recreation shall be located out of the water courses and stream buffers. So my question related to that is that the case? Because when I looked at the map, and of course I was looking at it on my phone, so admittedly maybe I was not interpreting it well, but it looks like a lot of the greenways in this planned development are located along stream beds and waterways. So my question is the city meeting that at least 50% of the dedicated recreation space does not include that? And where it is overlapping with what appear to be potential wet areas, can there be a discussion about the potential for flooding of the recreation space in the greenways? Ms. Bowen, is it possible to pull up the site plan, the site map that has, next one. I thought there was a map in yeah, keep going. Right, okay. See, up in the upper left corner, it looks to me like the green is where you have Greenway coming along, but in the upper left corner, the two sections of Greenway just end. And again, from what I can see, and I can't be certain that I'm interpreting it correctly, but it looks like they might end instead of connecting because there's a water issue there, or a terrain issue. So again, if the decision is made to go forward, is it possible to request that some kind of a boardwalk be constructed to traverse that so that the residents can actually experience the full advantage of all of the trails that are there, instead of having to just walk down a section and turn around and go back? Lastly, many of you that have worked with me in the past know that I am a big fan of conservation development, which allows for more compressed development in exchange for more green space. And just given what I've heard from so many people are so fearful of losing the absolutely remarkable nature that is Oxford and that its environs, that I would just encourage the board and staff to maybe encourage developers to be looking more at conservation development, which allocates 55% of a land mass to passive and improved recreation spaces in exchange for compressing development on the other 45%. So that there is, if we're going to have it, we are doing a better job of maintaining green spaces. And lastly, again, I'm showing my true colors with respect to traffic. All a traffic light does is create traffic jams. And if you make the decision to approve and move forward, I would entreat you to have a discussion, or before you make the decision, to have a discussion about roundabouts that move traffic smoothly, they decrease the risk for accidents, and they are just such an improvement on how traffic works. And thank you very much for the opportunity tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to the left? Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Elena Hallis. I live at 1076 Cabin Creek Road. I own 16 acres there right next to this development. The land I purchased from the Askew family was also part of the land that now Oxford Preparatory sits on. When Mr. Askew decided to do that, I know that he wanted to give Oxford back, a very great school to help children better their education. We moved here 5 years ago from Wake Forest, where I was born and raised in Wake Forest. I saw Wake Forest as a small town, and I saw what it became when I moved here 5 years ago. We moved out of Wake Forest for a couple different reasons. One was the growth that happened in Wake Forest, and the infrastructure was not there to support the type of communities that we're talking about today. We had a neighborhood that had larger lots, not big lots, but larger lots with quality homes. The neighborhood we particularly lived in then got bought out by another developer who chopped up any remaining lots that never sold and created, townhomes, other multi-generational homes, stuff that's also being talked about in this development. That happened to not only take away our animals. We were an Audubon society, which I think would be a great idea for this community to make larger lots and become an Audubon society, because it doesn't take away the animals. You can have walking trails, and neighbors that have spoke tonight along with myself can also still enjoy the peace and quiet that we moved here for. We used to come out here for the Pepper Festival every year when I still lived in Wake Forest, and we'd also joined the shooting club, and we loved it so much that we moved here in 2020. My husband also, in what was happening in Wake Forest, well, he is a veteran of the United States Air Force. He is pararescue, and if you don't know what pararescue is, these are the guys that save the Navy SEALs. They are true Supermen. They have a lot of PTSD. A lot of things set him off. And I try to give my husband the best peace and quiet, peaceful home that you can possibly give. We found that here in Oxford. It has been beautiful the past 5 years. With this development coming, it's already upset him, and he's seen what we saw in Wake Forest. And I just beg you to think of other residents that may have personal issues that came out here because they saw the beauty of what this town really is, how nice the people are, the beautiful downtown, the historic nature. This is a beautiful town. And with turning it into another Wake Forest by putting communities like this in, will not only raise the crime like it did where I grew up, but it's going to take away the joy of the community, the smiles, the handshakes, like the other gentleman talked about. You don't do that in Wake Forest. Nobody knew each other anymore. It became, if you've gone there, traffic's horrible too. And although we want communities and we want quality neighborhoods, it wasn't planned well in Wake Forest, and it gets out of hand very, very fast. Last year, I went to Wilson. If you've ever been down there, I've never been to Wilson, North Carolina in my life. But unfortunately, there was a pet animal hospital that I had to go to for one of my animals. They're doing a really good job down there. I don't know who's on their boards or who you may be able to speak to, but they are a very similar small town. And from what I know, people said, oh, you don't go to Wilson, there's nothing out there. They are growing and making their historic downtown, still beautifying it, but they are managing the neighborhoods, the new communities that are being built. And it actually was a really beautiful place from the stories I heard from folks who even had grown up there and said, oh, you just don't go to Wilson. They don't have high crime. The homes are affordable, but we're not talking about affordable housing. When that word starts getting thrown around, it always brings in very high crime. I experienced it in my own life, and I just beg you to think about all these things and think about your residents, both old and new, who have lived here generationally, and those who had moved here like me. And unfortunately now I feel like with my husband, the rug, like our welcome home mat that we received 5 years ago, is being pulled out from underneath us. So please think about everyone when you do this. Thank you.
Is there anyone else to the left? Mr. Compton.
All right, I'm Ed Compton. I'm at 213 Main Street. Much like some of the people here discussed, I came here going on 6 years ago, relocated to run a Harley Davidson dealership. I'd spent 21 years hopping around the country running Harley Davidson dealerships and could still be doing that today in some other part of the country. But I just fell in love with Oxford, and my wife did too. And we said, this is the place, the people, it's the community. This is what we are going to stay here for good. And so for the past 4 years since I quit Harley to stay here, I've been wondering why they do that, because it's constantly chasing the almighty dollar, trying to figure out what to do after leaving a big fat salary and commissions, right? So I understand growth. I've seen it all over the country, places I've lived. And I have a couple of jobs now, one of which is I work with Wills at Century 21 selling real estate. But I also am a heavy equipment broker, and I have 7 counties I cover. And I'm all over the place seeing things going on, as well as what I've seen moving around the country. And there are places that do what we're talking about doing, do it right. And there are places that you see didn't do it right at all. I know that there are areas of Chapel Hill that you drive through that are high density, but the roads, the infrastructure of roads are phenomenal. They planned it out ahead of time. They did it right. You only get one chance to do it right, is what one of my military commanders told me years ago. One chance to do it right, otherwise you've got big problems. So also what falls into it is, I've noticed the design of homes. When you walk through or drive through certain communities, you say, wow, they're stacked next to each other, but then you go through another one and you're like, wow, this is sort of nice. I might even consider this. You know, you see some cool brownstone communities and stuff like that. You know, what I would love to see, I hate the sound of affordable housing here. I think when you think about Oxford, how far out we are from everything, why would we want to do that? Does the builder really think he's going to sell a lot of affordable housing? I would be looking at just the opposite. I'd say, hey, I'm going to put in some high density brownstones here, really nice places, especially with the golf course. I don't think affordable housing people are that good at buying into golf courses, quite frankly. I've seen Bovis Bruning tried that years ago. I lived in one of their communities and they fell on their face. But I would love to see it if it was a more of a gated community, higher price point, where you get the entrepreneurs that work from home, that have, you know, high dollar jobs, that either commute, travel, their territory managers through the week, or else they work from home, or else they develop businesses in our community and they're happy to drive in and work those businesses. I think something like that would work. And I think you see this plan here and it's like, okay, you've got the 9 acres. Okay, do we really need the golf course, especially in that environment that I mentioned? Or do you say, okay, I would think that the city has some ability to, in essence, negotiate. Here's what we will or won't do, and rethink it. Like, how can we get a few less people living in there? How can we spread things out? How can we get it to be a certain standard of home? Can we have a gated type community and have the infrastructure set up ahead of time? Because yes, I live in one of the old historic homes down on Main Street, and you know, watching this stuff on California and thinking about things I've heard over the past few years about water in Oxford, I think, oh my gosh, all it takes is one good spark in Oxford. I know for a fact we have not approved fireworks shows in downtown Oxford for fear of catching homes on fire. And the old homes burn up like crazy real quick if that was the case, right? So I know something like this is going to happen. It's inevitable for all of us that don't want it to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen somehow, some way. But I just hope that it's done in the right way. a way that we can all look at it and say, wow, that's sort of cool, you know. I want to remind everybody up here on the board too, think about where your loyalty is, you know, as board members. Your loyalty is to us, not to the future people that aren't here yet. It's to us that already are here and how we feel. And also want to remind you to think about what it is that you love about living here, you know, because I think in your heart, you really know what you believe, and you probably know what most people believe here. And I know there's a way to work it out and negotiate something that makes it happy for everybody. It doesn't have to be a hard line either way. It can be a meeting in the middle somehow, so where everybody can be accepting of what's going on.
Thank you, sir. We'll give one more time. Anyone else would like to speak? One. Public hearing is closed. Item 5.2, consider approving conditional rezoning of 409 acres from AR 40 to RMU CU located off land in Salem Taps Creek. The applicant is proposing as a condition that the density is set to 4.56 units, 1,300 square feet homes, 30.71 acres of open space, and 10.24 acres of recreational space. The planning board recommended approval of this request. I would like to move and ask Ms. Hart if you has anything to say on this. As Mrs. Hart is our planning director, she approves everything. She goes through it. We have a planning board that really did some hard work on this. And I know for a fact it's not easy getting things approved with the members that are on the planning board. We have engineers, we have some highly qualified folks on the planning board. So when they send things up here, they really go to it and look at it. Now, by experience being here, the rezoning approval does not say it is a final, as Mr. Compton was saying, is the design and the neighborhood. We do have keep a lot of flexibility with our community, as I said, developer, and we work with them to get things done right because we look out for a citizen. We want to make sure things are done right in Oxford. We're not ignoring things. There's a lot of factors that goes on. I must say one thing. That we talked about fire and policing. We have the #1 fire department. We have the #1 fire chief in the state of North Carolina, if you guys don't know that. Our chief goes out and he trains the other cities and municipalities to the point that my chief, I'm committing them to do something else, but we have one of the top rated. Our fire department, our police department, we have a top officers within our police department. Reason to, yes, there's issues. We do agree.
Just for one procedure, we need to get a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir. We coming there.
To discuss it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we do on the
Okay.
floor to discuss this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now I'll move on. Like I said, our police department. This board is not ignoring things. This board is moving forward. We know what we got to do, and we're planning it. If you attend an agenda meeting, you hear Commissioner Toby remind our city manager that we need to set aside the land to build our public safety facility, and that's going to happen. Okay? So I just want to make sure citizens know that we're not just sitting and kicking the can down the road. And I know we talked about affordable housing. There is a plan going on to get affordable housing in the city using the infill in some of the areas that we need to do that. Because regardless of what we do, what's affordable housing? No one can determine that right now. We can say workforce housing, but everyone has a right to get the proper housing to live in a city and live in a place. So I'm gonna open this up, commissioners, if anybody wants to Take all sides.
Vote on the motion.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yeah, well, you know, well, I've heard a lot tonight. And, you know, I've heard people talk about cookie cutter houses that they're seeing, you know. I've heard people say affordable housing means raising of crime. And you know, I people can make what analogies they want to make, but I certainly do not agree that when you say the word affordable housing means your crime rate is going to go up. But I also understand that whatever we do as a city, it ought to be, you know, housing that has some quality absolutely to it. We don't want to just put up cookie houses, but we cannot forget that, you know, we need to provide housing for all of our citizens who have a desire or a dream to own a home. Now, what does concern me, and I'm sure we can get answers, is the issue of traffic, the issue of police coverage, fire coverage, what we do about the water sewer situation. You know, we have, you know, a number of developments going on and done or close to being done. So we need to back up what we say we're going to do. If we're going to have more houses, more development, you know, we need to be comfortable or at least well informed in our decisions. And so we need to, you know, and I tell you, some of the things that were raised by citizens tonight, I personally don't know the answer to. I don't know whether our police chief feels comfortable that she can provide good police protection with a new development like that without her talking to us about how many police officers she needs. I don't know if the sheriff who is here feels, you know, when his deputies are out serving papers on folk, whether or not 450 to 500 more people is going to have an effect on his ability to do what he has to do. And as a commissioner, I have to feel some level of being informed before I vote. And I have some questions. I had some questions before I got here, but I have had some additional questions about comments that have been made. You know, there are a lot of questions out there. And we don't need to get into some mess. And of course, you know, there have been people from Wake Forest or used to live in Wake Forest. And I think there was another lady that spoke about moving here from maybe Cary and what was going on there and how the development went haywire, and that's why she left. Well, I don't want anything negative to come to Oxford either, but I think I need more information personally.
Mr. Toby.
Yeah, I got to agree with Commissioner Bridges. I've heard of so much tonight from so many different people. We were elected to represent the people. So we have to listen to the people, despite our own thoughts and things like that. We have to listen to the people. I am just not happy about going on with this tonight. I'm just not happy with it.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I can remember when food line was suggested off of Roxbury Road and Hicksmill Road. And they said it wouldn't have an impact on the neighborhood and this, that, and the other. They didn't listen to the residents. Well, tonight I'm going to listen to the residents, because this development will have a spillage effect on me, but not a living effect on me. I have been in Oxford 75 years. Apparently, I love it. And my thought is, yes, there's going to be growth, but it has to be done with consideration of those that are here. So a whole lot more. After hearing you all tonight, I have to see a whole lot more before I can support this.
Commissioner Velez.
I believe solely in a word called compromise. And as I've looked at these drawings and these layouts, I don't think I see compromise in it. I started visiting Oxford 2002. And when I first visited Oxford, North Carolina for the first time, which was my first time in North Carolina, I remember they had a relay in the middle of town. And I walked through the streets and I see a police officer directing traffic with white gloves and people talking to each other, and everybody was socializing and everybody knew each other. And to me, I thought it was like an episode of the Truman Show or something. Because, you know, living in New Jersey at a young age, and then Orlando, Florida, where there's a lot of congestion, and you live next door to somebody for so long and don't even know them. That was in Oxford. Sitting on my wife's grandmother's porch and people riding by and waving at me, and I look over at her like, you know them people? And she said, no, that's just how they are here. And I have a saying that I want people to come to Oxford, but I want Oxford to change the people, not the people change Oxford. I believe we have a rich culture that I definitely want to preserve. But in order for us to preserve that, it got to be compromised. You know, we want to bring people here, but we also want to make people understand that when they come here, we have a way of life that we want to continue having, and we want to welcome them with open arms without the rest of our natives feeling uncomfortable with the new people who's coming. So when the gentleman came up here and even pointed out the buffer, I had a conversation about this buffer the other day where I was questioning the buffer. And I know that I wouldn't like living somewhere and then suddenly feel as if somebody is infringing my property or my space, you know. I remember when I was putting up a wooden fence at my house, and the ordinance showed up to make sure that didn't have it directly on the line, that I had it, you know, that I had to respect the neighbor's space and everything. So, I mean, if we can address issue as small as putting up a fence and making sure that we're not infringing on our neighbor's space, I mean, this definitely don't make it all right. And I just feel that we need to go back to the drawing board and add compromise into this whole planning and make sure that we bring these people in, but we bring them in a way that when they get here, they don't feel unwelcome, and our Oxford natives don't feel invaded neither. That's all I got, man.
Commissioner McCray.
It's human nature to be reluctant to change. We all know that. But we also know that change is inevitable. As long as we're living, there are going to be changes. So, I mean, as you know, we've heard the voices tonight on both sides. But one of the common things, or one of the things that I heard just about from everybody on both sides, is there is a desire for growth. There is a desire or want for Oxford to grow. While, and I'll just put this, and I'll make it real brief. Just keep in mind that that growth will require some changes. Okay, will everybody agree to it? Absolutely not. There will never be 100% yay or 100% no. Okay, but just keep in mind, as we do grow, some things, they have to change. It's inevitable. It has to happen. There are some changes that will have to take place. So what I would task each one of you, or ask each one of you, the same thing that you've asked of us. You know, when these changes take place, let's examine them. Okay, not, and I know a lot of things have been said so far were on a personal level. Totally understand that, but I would ask you to keep in mind that, again, when these changes come, you know, not only look at, you know, yourselves, but if we truly want the best for the city of Oxford, we have to have that mind frame. And I pray that's what each one of us want. But again, and I'll go back to my original statement, while we know it's human nature to be reluctant to change, change is inevitable. So as we proceed and move forward, know that there will have to be, even if it comes to this or whatever we're dealing with, change is going to have to take place. And now the desire, the hope, the prayer is that the changes that do take place not only benefit us, but the generations to come behind us. So again, just be mindful. Again, please, sir, please, ma'am, as we go forward with this. Again, I'll just lead, and I'll say it for the third time, that while it's human nature to be reluctant to change, just know that change is definitely inevitable.
Well, that's Commissioner Bridges.
And, you know, I know I've spoken, and I just want to say also, we have an important decision to make, shortly, about a replacement for Commissioner Connor. And I think that decision relative to this board, is going to come. And I think that on this issue, whoever that person is needs to be involved in this.
So when I look at it, I see we have some question that needs to be answered. I like for us, I know we have a motion on the board. I would like for us to allow Mrs. Hart, our staff, to answer the questions that needs to be answered, and then we can address this in the future. I'm not going to say I don't think we should close it down. These questions need to be answered. So we need to allow the developer or planning director, the police chief, engineer, to look into this and provide the answers that we need. So when we come back, we can inform the citizens, and we can have the answers we need to make the correct decision. That's my recommendation.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend that motion, to taper it until we get more information from our staff, and we can make a more knowledgeable vote in the future.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I have a question.
Wait.
One question. So what are we asking? We're asking our city staff to get together with the developer to ask what exactly?
I'm asking that Mrs. Hart, who conducts all of the development and planning in this city, is very knowledgeable of things that we need in this city, to get with the developer or staff, we can provide the answers we need and for us to make the correct decision. Like Commissioner McCraig says, change, you can't stop change. But we got to make sure the change happened correctly. And we can't please everyone with the change. But change has to happen, growth has to happen. And we just want to make sure we do it right.
We understand that. Are we asking them to make sure that, you know, this proposal beats our UDO, our comprehensive plan? I mean, I think there's, I don't know, it's just a little ambiguous to me, you know, to see, because there was a lot of questions brought up tonight, so I'm just kind of, I don't want something to be missed, or we come back again and then kind of end up in the same position.
Same thing.
So,
Okay. Commissioner Toby.
I think one of the questions is about density. I think people are worried about the density. If it was less dense, maybe it'd be more acceptable. And the buffers, the buffers can be wide.
Again,
Especially when I saw this map here about this right up to this person's land, you know, the buffers. So there's those questions that really need to be answered.
Again, this is not
Can
the
we
first.
have less density? Can we make those buffer areas?
This is not the first time this board has come up to a challenge when we have a rezoning, and we have handled it correctly by going and coming back and getting the proper information.
Right, that's what we need.
So we have a city manager that works with us and works very well. We have a city attorney, and we have a planning director, engineering body staff that works correctly. So I will say, Mr. Bellis have a motion on the table. I would recommend my suggestion. I'm not voting on this. I can vote right now, but I think we should have the information that we required. And the concern of Commissioner Lumpkins is, what are we going to look at? What we recommend? I think we should take a recommendation again from our staff that knows what the things are, and they listen, and everybody's here, and we have notes, so we should rely on our staff to come back and tell us when we're ready to proceed and bring this back up to the board.
Mr. Mayor,
City Manager.
I interpret Commissioner Lumpkin's question as to look at the impacts of what all this is going to have, and we'll bring those impacts back to you.
Thank you. So we have a second.
Well, let me,
Commissioner Bridges was
yeah, let me
saying-
try to answer a little bit of what Commissioner Lumpkin asked. How about what the people have said tonight? You know, police and fire, infrastructure, traffic, water, sewer. I mean, you know, those are the things that I want to hear about as a commissioner, to feel I wanted to make an informed decision. And we've got development going on. We've made, you know, we make promises about water and sewer and police protection, and people have talked about California. I mean, you got to be horrified seeing what's on television now in California. Okay, so, you know, the police chief needs to talk about what law enforcement will need. The sheriff will need to talk about what his department will need. And then, you know, our engineers and folks need to talk to us about water, sewer, and our ability to provide for that development. That's what we need. That's the answer we need.
That's true.
I would also keep in mind, I would also ask to keep in mind that while these questions are being asked and being answered, that the expectation is just going to happen like that. Say, once we talk to the police chief, and if the desire is that we need 20 new officers or whatever the number is, because I don't want to give the public the false perception that once that's decided, then next week we're going to have 20 new officers. It's not going to happen like that. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, man. It doesn't happen like that. As the development starts to grow, as we continue to move forward, then those pieces will be added. So again, I don't want to portray, and Commissioner Bridges brought up an excellent point, but I don't want I don't want the board to portray that, okay, we've heard these desires or these wants, and tomorrow's going to happen. Because if the desire is to have 20 new officers, while we have 20 new officers today, we're still talking about, the development. But again, it's almost, like the city manager said, we have to look at the impact and the I&I, the implementation and impact that it's going to have. And I think once we do that and decisions are made, then yeah, we'll put things in plan or in place to make it happen. But again, I just don't want, the public to think that, okay, well, last week you guys said you're going to need 15 officers. Where are they? Which I don't think, we have a group of very intelligent folks here. So I don't think that will be the case. But again, I just don't want to portray that as well.
So keep in mind that a development does not happen overnight.
Right.
We have 5-10 years before, like the gentleman said when he made his presentation, these things take years. It doesn't happen overnight. So we're not going to have to say we're going to have 20 police like the commissioner said. So as we look at it and we come back, we have to have our plan in place like we have most of the time. And we try to stick to it and we adjust and make changes as we need. But this is not an overnight thing that's going to happen in 2 years, 3 years. It takes a while to break ground. It takes a while to do things. So let's not rush it, like Commissioner McCray said. Commissioner Bridges said the same thing. So we're going to table this. And let's want to understand we want to do table this. And we're going to take a vote. But the thing is to table this and allow our staff to come back with the answers, to work with the developers and come back with the answers so we can move forward. So we have a motion. We have a second.
Commissioner Bridges seconded. Right?
Commissioner Bridges.
I did. I second.
So all in favor of the table?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
No need to go through.
No need to
2
go
and
to
3.
this. And a pit stop. I just need pit stop. 6 standards.
But I'm good right now. I might have to do it, but I'm good.
I'd rather do it now before we move forward.
We can just take a break. Let's take a break.
We're going to take a 5 minutes break while the room settles down, and we take on with our candidates' questions.
Sydney. We should have worked on that. Why we did this? Why we did this? You hungry? He ain't hungry. Curtis, you hungry? You gonna provide some more Curtis? At home. Said, you hungry?
We spent $1,000 on candy for Christmas. That was my candy budget for the year.
You hungry, Carlos? You hungry?
I ate a Super Bowl candy.
Yes.
I'm hungry. I know you hungry.
I think so.
It's got roast carrot potatoes.
Let's look at the pieces.
Shut up. I don't want to hear about that either. But I'm so proud. We gonna take
That's it.
good enough reason though. Look, don't look at me no more. Don't look at me no more. And look, every time you say you tell your face up, and I'm not gonna look at that. But I can see your face.
All I'm saying is, it's always been so it's kind of like I would
We had a meeting. He was nice tonight.
it's on lease match. That's our property right now.
Get out of here.
She was right. You're gonna give 10 minutes each other.
Huh?
We're not gonna give us 10 minutes each other.
I think it's good to give them
Huh?
I'm gonna say
3 to 5.
5 minutes.
10 minutes each would be 70 minutes, babe.
I know we'd be hurting.
Did you hear me? Oh, yeah, I know you were.
Did you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Find me Cindy. We need to get this right.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, 10 minutes too much.
You tell me. Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody gonna go longer than that.
Right. What I was saying is, if you look at
I think we did the right thing. Page and a half. She has
Where?
qualifications.
Me and you looked all over. Me either.
Lisa's here.
That, something she wanted you to do for so long. Seth.
Commissioner Lumpkins. Seth Lumpkins.
Don't overlook him.
Yeah, in November. Yeah.
Oh God, no, she tired. She tired, man. She tired. She ready to go home.
You want me to take you home?
I'm going with you. I'm coming with you. Hit it again, hit it again.
In light of the previous motion we did on item 5.2, I'd like to go have someone motion to remove item 5.3, which is
Table it.
table item 5.3.
Motion.
With a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We are at the point that we're really entertaining and listening to the candidates who would like to fill Commissioner Khan's position. This process, as the state does not dictate anywhere how it's done, our board adopted in the last agenda meeting to do interviews. We are going to allow every candidate 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to give a presentation on telling us why we should vote for you to be the next person to fill that seat to December, till the next year, till November. At no point you'll be questioned by any commissioner here. We are not asking questions today. We will convene and go to a session next week where we will vote on it, because we don't want to prolong this. Again, we are not going to ask questions. We're just going to listen to you.
Mayor, if I can.
Yes, sir.
Were the applicants told they were given 5 or 10 minutes?
Well, they weren't told anything.
I thought I heard up to 10 minutes.
I think a maximum of 10 is okay. Maximum.
I think up to 10 minutes. I think there'll be folks that will.
Okay, okay. The board members, as we work as a team up here, we will move to 10 minutes. Again, we will not ask any questions. You have 10 minutes to make your presentation. We decided to go in alphabetical order. As we did, you have the list, Mrs. Bowen. There's no question who starts first. We'll start with Mr. Brooks. Again, there's no question asked by any board member, by any member here, out here in the hall, in the chambers listening. So, Mr. Brooks, please come forward.
I got you. I'm a DJ. I know how to use one of these. To the board, to the officers, to city manager, and all the city staff, and to everyone present here. It's a privilege and honor to stand before you. The office that you all are sitting in is one that I sought in 2023. I lost by 1 vote. I sat in a room with a man who I didn't really know, with shaking hands, we knew each other's faces, but Commissioner Tovey sat in the room for about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6, I can't remember, it's a blur now, as we waited for the recount. During the recount, still 1 vote shy of being the city commissioner of Oxford. So the question, who am I? I'm Scotty Brooks. I am the son of Alan and Ruth Morgan. Could you please stand up? I am the father of a Hampton Pirate freshman, Carrington Brooks. My greatest job is being her father, and that is the greatest joy that I've ever been given. So the question of why do I want to be a commissioner? I stand here in front of you, I'm a hypocrite. And you, because you graduated in 1988, correct? 87. Your wife graduated with me in 1989. And I'm sure you'll agree with me when you said, I will never move back to Oxford. Hundreds, if not thousands of us have said that. I will never move back to Oxford. But God, in his infinite wisdom and incredible sense of humor and irony, here I am. Why did I move back to Oxford? One reason, my daughter. She wanted to play volleyball. And I knew that I wanted her to be with the best coach on planet Earth, Coach Ellis Cruz, right here in Oxford. That meant my daughter would go to my alma mater, J.F. Webb, a place that I hold very dear. So much so that I volunteered there all 4 years that my daughter was in school there. I still volunteer there now. I was on the school improvement team, not only for the school, but also for the district. I work on a committee of people, former graduates and Granville County natives, the Webb Warrior Alumni Association Foundation, What we do is raise money annually for children. Last year, we gave out 18 scholarships on average of $1,000. This year, we've raised almost $20,000, and hopefully we can, that's our goal, 20, and hopefully we'll hit 25,000. So why do I want to be a city commissioner? Because I don't want my daughter to ever utter these words. I will never move back to Oxford. Oxford is what made me who I am today. I couldn't have been myself anywhere else but right here. So I love this town. I love this city. I love this county. Even our neighbors in the South, South Granville, I support them. When they have great sports teams, I go to their championship games because I'm from Granville County, born and raised in Granville. I love my neighborhood, so much so that I still live there. So I live in the city. I have potholes on my streets. I have some of the infrastructure problems that I hear people complain about. I'm not against growth. I'm 100% for it, but it has to be controlled. And what we saw tonight is another reason why I want to be on this city government. The passion and fervor that these people have shown, it's incredible. You don't see that. You see it on the internet sometimes, on TikTok videos in big cities. But we got that right here in Oxford. We have the passion coming from the people, and we have commissioners willing to listen to the people. And I appreciate and I applaud that in all of you, being mindful enough to listen to the people and not just look at the dollar signs, because you may be able to buy something, but the question is, can you afford it? You may like a Ferrari, but once you see the maintenance, the insurance costs, you may not be able to buy that car like you thought you could, unless you give up eating, lights, water, and all that other fun stuff, you know. And so we're at a crucial time in our history in Oxford. And I'm proud to give what I have back to my city. I graduated in 1989 from J.F. Webb. I graduated from UNCG in 1995. And the sad part is, I didn't hate Oxford. I didn't have a strong dislike for Oxford or disdain at all. The problem was I couldn't find a salary to support the lifestyle that I wanted in my hometown. I haven't worked in Oxford since 1989. I worked at Revlon. And that's a shame, because I've commuted to Durham. I spent money in Durham because that's where I'm at. But I would have loved to have spent that money right here in Oxford. So what I want to do is create an Oxford for future generations. We talk about affordable housing, and unfortunately, that has become a dirty word. Let's call it worker-based housing. Let's say you work at Burger King as a manager. Wouldn't you like to live where you work? Wouldn't you like to buy a house where you work? We have a math problem, and it's not fuzzy math. For a $300,000 home, which Ms. Hart did a report a few months ago, the average cost of those new homes they're building in Oxford right now, $300,000. How much salary do you need for that house? $80,000. What's the median income in Oxford? $55,000 for a family. So we have a huge gap to fill. How are we going to fill that? I'm in technology. I worked at Duke Health Technology Systems for 26 years. And we need tech jobs here. We have them giving tech jobs all over, all around us. Why not right here in Oxford? I want to see Industry Drive back thriving like it was in the mid-'80s when I was here. And by the time I came back in '89, after I left college, when I left for college and came back, it was like a wasteland out there, and it still is. So what we need, in my opinion, we need an attitude of growth, sustain, and control. We need to listen to the will of the people because we are the people. Whether we like it or not, we will all be judged by the decisions that we make. And I'm thankful that this board makes informed decisions. You're not quick to jump just because there's a dollar possibly to be made. Had a very good conversation with our city manager. And he gave me the lowdown on what our biggest issues will be. If you bring a lot of people here, that water and sewer, that's your number one priority. So we have to definitely plan extremely well before we unleash all this growth in our city. As I stated, our children are a priority for me. I want to create an Oxford that they can come back to. And I'm not talking about 40 years from now. I'm talking about when my daughter graduates. I want her to be able to come to Oxford and say, Dad, I'm going to live in Oxford and I can get a job in Oxford. So what we have to do is call on our friends in industry. I have a few. We have to think outside the box. We have to get our salaries higher in our town. We have to improve the education because people don't want to come to a town where the education is subpar. It's simple as that. Everyone knows it goes hand in hand with schools and growth. So before I leave, because they have been so patient and they are my backbone, I want all the people who came to support me tonight, to stand because they've been here. Stand, please, for 1 second. I want to thank you all. And I felt that they deserve recognition because they stood here with me. And a lot of them stood in the cold during the polls with you, in the cold winter. And it was cold out there some days. They brought coffee, they brought us drinks, they took care of us, they brought us food. So lastly, I'll say this. I have a lot left in my tank, and I'm willing to expend as much as needed for the people of Oxford and for the city of Oxford. And one thing I feel that I definitely will bring to the table, I want to improve the communication between the county and the school board and this board, because we operate sometimes as if we're separate entities. The county sometimes acts as if we're not the heart of the city. We're not the heart of Granville County. We're the center. We're the nucleus. Very important. So I would pray that you all make an informed decision. I would pray that you all make the right decision. And in my honest and humble opinion, Scotty Brooks is the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks. Next up is Mr. Ed Compton.
I'd first like to say thank you to everybody for listening to me earlier. And also, I'd like to point out when it comes to communication, I just coincidentally wanted to be here tonight at the meeting. I did not get an email back from Cindy Bowen to come here for this discussion about this role. But I'm glad I was here. Here again, communication needs to be improved. For me, you know, I've really hadn't given it a whole lot of thought over the past couple of years about being a member of your team, but I've had just tons of people tell me you should be in that team. Why aren't you part of that team? I'm like, I don't know. I never thought about it. Do you really think so? Yeah, you're the kind of guy we need. I'm like, what? So some of you know me and some of you don't know me, but those of you do, that you'll know that I'm a straight shooter. I pretty much tell it like it is. You know, tonight I said it how it is, and I'm sure my boss, who's not here, Wills, probably didn't like what I had to say, but that's the way I feel about it. And you know, I'm all about doing what's right for the community, and I've always been that way. I had great parents, and I grew up in Cincinnati, in a small suburb of Cincinnati, where I was in a 1,100 square foot Cape Cod house, and about 20 feet next door was another one, same size, and so on down the block. It was predominantly a Catholic neighborhood with tons and tons of kids. You know, my mom and dad had 4 kids in that house, and our next door neighbor on one side had 8 kids. Next door neighbor on the other side had 10 kids in the same size house, and the whole street was that way, and it was just a marvelous place to grow up. I'm the oldest, and me and my closest sister grew up knowing what it was like to be poor, but then also knew what it was like to have nice things once my dad finally got to where he started making some money, whereas my other 2 younger sisters, they never knew what it was like to be poor. So I feel like with my perspective in my growing up and in my career between the military and between the dealership sales, you know, I've always been a good listener, and I think that's what made me a performer when it comes to selling. And I've been a solutions person. I've always been able to come up with creative solutions that my buyers and my teammates that I've led, because I've managed some big teams. I've managed a $50 million a year Harley dealership and 78 employees, down to small places. But they've always liked that, hey, I've got their input, listened to them, and then if they didn't come up with a solution that I could sign off on, I somehow miraculously came up with a solution that they felt like they had their input on too, which made for great team building. And I think I would be that person here, that I'm not afraid to say what I think and go against the grain, but at the same time, I'm not going to totally offend anybody, whether it's on the team or out in the community. I really look forward to having an opportunity to fill the role for the rest of the term and then run for the office again. So thank you, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Compton. Next, we have Ms. Teresa Gilry. Gilry.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor Nurse. I want to just thank you for this opportunity to come before you. My name is Teresa Smith Gilreath, and I would like to be considered to fill the vacant position by Brian Kahn after his election to the North Carolina House of Representatives. I was elected to serve on this board on 2019. Serving the citizens of Oxford was probably one of my greatest joys. I served as the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee and a member of the Property and Building and Public Works Committee. I also served on the Greenway Advisory Board. I was known for my questioning nature and my desire to understand the issues and gather the facts. Does that sound familiar? We're still doing the same thing. But anyway, my questioning nature allowed me to be informed in deciding. It helped me, as well as others, in identifying what the issues were and what potential impact a decision would have on our citizens, intended or unintended. My contact with many of the citizens of Oxford would tell me that they thought of what I did, and they would thank me for asking the questions on their behalf. I also enjoyed a lot of the discussions with others because it always enlightened me, and it made me look that much harder at exploring more facts and the more facets of any one of the very issues that we were being confronted with at the time. I'm viewed as a very pragmatic, fair, and informed person. I believe this is the type of leader that best serves all citizens, thus ensuring the representation of all stakeholders. Being pragmatic has made me a good steward of the City of Oxford funds and the resources. I'm committed to this community and to this county. I'm currently serving on the Granville County Board of Elections, Secretary to the Granville County Fuller Center for Housing, formerly the Habitat for Humanity, and member of the Granville County League of Women Voters, and as well as a lot of other organizations like the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, active in my kids' school, a lot of stuff. I have deep roots in this community, and I cannot envision my living any other place. I enjoy the rural nature of our community and all the green spaces it currently has, and I can envision me still loving Oxford as my home in the future. My kids are educated here. Both my husband and I both retired from the state and local government, and these were local positions. I currently serve this community also as a part-time clerk at our local DMV office. In conclusion, I will be an asset to fill this limited time position. I will be able to hit the road running with limited training and minimal disruption in the continuity of the business of this board. I would appreciate each of you as the elected officials of our community, and will continue to support each of you as well as our community as we strive to meet the ever-changing of our community. And I want to just say thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, I believe Mrs. Kelly. Sorry if I got
Kate Kelly.
Kate Kelly. Yes.
Mayor Nurse, Mayor Pro Tem Fields, and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Having recently become a resident of Oxford, I am filled with enthusiasm and a deep sense of responsibility towards contributing to the vibrant community that has so graciously welcomed me and made me feel at home. My recent relocation has ignited a strong sense of civic duty within me to serve and enhance the well-being of our beautiful city. Serving on the Board of Commissioners would allow me to play an active role in shaping the future of Oxford, ensuring that it continues to thrive for generations to come. I bring with me decades of experience as an executive assistant, a role that has equipped me with a comprehensive skill set and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Throughout my career, I have honed my abilities in organizational management, strategic planning, and effective communication. In my professional journey, I have worked alongside top executives, facilitating their day-to-day operations and contributing to high-level decision-making processes. My experience has taught me the importance of leadership, collaboration, and maintaining a clear vision. On the Board of Commissioners, I will leverage these capacities to foster a collaborative environment where diverse perspectives are valued and constructive dialogue is encouraged. Throughout my career, I have been entrusted with overseeing various projects, from organizing high-profile events to implementing new administrative systems. My ability to anticipate potential issues and devise practical solutions has been a cornerstone of my professional success. On the Board of Commissioners, I will leverage this experience to address the challenges facing Oxford and to develop innovative strategies to promote sustainable growth and enhance the quality of life for all residents. One of my primary goals as a commissioner will be to ensure that the voices of all Oxford residents are heard and considered in the decision-making process. I believe that my background as an executive assistant, with its emphasis on listening, understanding, and responding to the needs of others, uniquely positions me to advocate effectively on behalf of our community. I will work tirelessly to address the concerns of our citizens and to implement policies that reflect our shared values and aspirations. My passion for community service is driven by a genuine desire to see Oxford flourish. I am dedicated to promoting initiatives that enhance the quality of life for all residents, from economic development and infrastructure improvements to educational opportunities and cultural enrichment. It would be an honor to contribute my expertise and dedication to the continued growth and prosperity of our beloved Oxford. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Skelly. Next is Mrs. Karen McGee.
Commissioners, put this down. Mayor, City Manager, Attorney General. Oh my goodness.
wow.
A good title there. Attorney for the City of Oxford. My name is late, I'm sorry. My name is Karen McGee. And I had been asked for many years since I came back to help my parents to run for this office by certain people in this room. And I had said no for quite a bit of time because I was taking care of my father who passed away, and then also my mother who's now passed away. And just recently, actually a thought that came to me that I owe my family, I owe my community, I owe the city of Oxford the talents that I inherited from my parents and that God gave me. And so with that, I put forth my name to replace newly Representative Cohen, and just a little bit of my background. I think because of the varied careers I have had over the years, I bring a good amount of knowledge to so many areas. As an engineer, which is what I started off with and went to school for, bachelor's and master's in electrical engineering. Worked for AT&T, started off as an engineer, worked my way up to technical director. As a result of that, I am used to budgets small and budgets big, because I was part of the team that replaced AT&T's long distance network. It would cost them $1 billion. From there, I went on and I managed 63 people, 4 managers, and those 63 people. Then I ended up leaving corporate because I actually got a call from the Lord. And I won't even go into all those details, but I ended up going into ministry and ended up getting a Master's of Divinity. And so I have varied skills, because from being an engineer, I had gone from planning, from architecture, like the drawings that they showed this evening about the subdivisions. We did those kinds of things, but it was for telecommunications networks. Being from inception, taking it all the way through to distribution throughout the United States, 150 offices for AT&T. So I understand what it means to plan and to work it all the way to the end of execution. I also, when I left divinity school, I knew I was called to preach because that's what my pastor told me, but I was not called to pastor. But one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to be the church, not just do church. And as a result, I happened a gluten-free bakery that I had in Nashville, Tennessee. And I hired not everybody, but most of the folks I hired were people caught in the who were juvenile delinquents or caught in the legal system. Young men, young women. Not everybody, but most of them. And it was a great opportunity to give back, because one of the things I wanted to do was create a healthy product, but I also wanted to create healthy employees. And when I ended up closing down the bakery, when I came back to North Carolina, one of the things that each of the people that worked for me said was, because of the skills you taught us, because I had people who didn't even know how to answer the phone. I was busy doing something. Could you get the phone? They're going, hello. I'm like, no, this is a business. And taking time with people to teach people, to show them this is the way things are done, that each one of them, when I closed down the bakery, were able to get jobs right away just because of what I taught them. And so that is the skill set that I bring. When I was asked by a friend, it's like, well, what do you want to do for Oxford? What do you think you want to bring? And for me, I guess it's a three-legged stool. And some of the other folks who talked saying the same sort of thing is that people in Oxford need to have a wage by which they can live in Oxford, have houses they can afford in Oxford, and there be activities for them and their families in Oxford. So that's my three-legged table, if you want to call it. And that would be my emphasis if you choose to select me to be one of the members on your board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. John Oliver sent me a note at the beginning of this meeting. Everybody knows John. He's very busy in his tow truck business. He had an accident that he had to go and take care of down in Durham, I-85, so it really probably got him tied up. So we have asked to excuse that. It's not being in the presentation here does not mean say you're out of it. You still will be voted on next week. So we skip Mr. Oliver.
Could I ask, could he do a video that we can look at later? Or, doing this, because I think I don't know him. I mean,
right.
And I would like to give him, he had an emergency, couldn't be here, but I still would like to hear from him.
Okay.
So
That's very good, Mr. Bridges. To the clerk, can you reach out with an email requesting Mr. Oliver to do a video? And if he can't do it, we can come up here and he can do it with either Sabrina or one of the staff to do the video for him if he doesn't have that technology to do so.
Thank you.
Everyone should have that with a cell phone now. Again, now we move on to their last presentation for the day. This is Jackie Surjan.
Good evening again, Mayor Nurse, commissioners, staff, and members of our community. I so appreciate the opportunity to appear before you tonight for this reason. And I do have to say, you have a great group of candidates. I also, as such, thank you now for the thought you have and are going to invest in determining the best way to fill the seat vacated by now Representative Khan. Many of you may wonder why I am here, given that I decided to step down from office last year. But there are two reasons. Frankly, last year I no longer had the energy to serve our community in the manner that I saw fit. But I now have had a year of relative rest and my energy is renewed. That said, for those of you that may wonder, while I was blessed beyond measure to serve as mayor of Oxford, I have no desire to return to that role. But filling the remainder of a board member term has so much more appeal. It gives me the opportunity to continue to serve our stakeholders and to work on issues which were difficult for me to leave behind when I made the decision to step down. Secondly, quite simply, I was asked numerous times by numerous people across the spectrum of our community who believe I still have something to offer Oxford residents and stakeholders. Most of you know me and have worked with me. As such, it may matter little what I say tonight, because your opinion, good or bad, is already formed. But for those of you that do not, however, I will give you a little background on myself. I'm a first-generation American. My father was Dutch and my mother the only member of her family to survive the Holocaust. They met after the war when she was in DP camp and he was working to help the displaced. They emigrated to the US in 1952 with two of my sibs, And myself and my brother and I were born here in the States. I grew up in Western New York State and came to North Carolina for school. My degree in French is from Duke, and my master's is in public health nutrition from Carolina. But for anyone that's curious, although I'm not a big sports fan, I usually pull for the local underdog, NC State. My husband and I met at Duke and were married in 1980. We moved to Oxford in 83, never expecting to stay. We moved away to Virginia when our son was a baby, never expecting to come back. But that was the kicker. In those 2.5 years, we had fallen in love with Oxford, its people, its ambiance, and even the fact that everyone seems to know your business. We bought our current house while we were living in Texas before moving to a village in Germany and planned to return it to renovate it, and we did. I worked at our district health department here for 26 years, first as staff in the WIC program, then as its director. I worked in health promotion and supervised health education before I retired in 2016. During that time, I was fortunate to receive several state awards along with grants that helped me work with partners to build playgrounds, trails, and implement health-oriented policies in our counties. I wrote the Granville County Greenway Master Plan and 4 comprehensive community health assessments for Granville and Vance counties, among other projects. This work in public health laid the foundation for my serving in public office. We look at data and facts to determine where to focus, not who's your mama, who's your daddy, and who needs a favor. While I'm proud of my time in office, I'm not going to do a run through of that, because while I was a cheerleader for all of it and an instigator for some, the truth is that without the city manager and staff to make things happen, the board to offer support and direction, and all the visionary dreamers that decided to invest their time and treasure into our beloved city, none of it would have happened. There is no question that it takes a village, not just to raise a child, but also to help our city thrive. But what I will refer to about my time in office is the 14 years of experience and exposure to the issues that confront Oxford and how that impacts my ability to serve the city now. While I discussed this in the statement of interest that I sent to you, I think it bears repeating for the record and anybody who in the public that may be here or listening. I believe that my experience on the board makes me uniquely qualified to fill the last year of Commissioner Khan's term, because I already have an intimate knowledge of how city government works and of so many of the projects that are currently underway. I would hope that my years of service on the board are evidence of my ability and willingness to work with a group to achieve board goals, whether they are focused on strengthening our city for growth and development or enhancing the quality of life for our current and incoming residents and stakeholders. I have worked with the city manager and 4 of the current board members and attended most of the committee meetings that were held during my tenure, giving me a working knowledge not only of the topics at hand, but also board thoughts, dialogue, and rationale behind decisions, enabling me to speak effectively and with detail when questioned by community members. A recent example of this occurred when I was questioned last fall about the unfinished work on the streets of downtown Oxford. I was able to explain in detail the process the city engineer, board, and manager underwent to achieve funding for the extensive projects, the amount of money being saved through grants, zero interest loans, and economy of scale street resurfacing, address some of the delays and their causes, and explain the critical nature of the work for Oxford's future prospects. As my husband says, watch out if you're going to ask Jackie a question. By the time I finished, the questioner's outlook had changed from negative to positive, and he expressed appreciation for the city's undertaking such work, despite its long and fitful duration. As commissioner, Brian Khan was chair of the Finance Committee and a member of the Public Works Committee and Planning, Business, and Community Development Committees. Further, he was the board's representative to the Carr Lake Regional Water System, one of the most critical outside board assignments this board has. Oxford's ability to grow and develop hinges upon the strength of its water and wastewater capacity. We need to look no further, as we heard, than the public hearing on the development on tonight's agenda to understand its importance. Commissioner Ron Bullock, who retired from the board in 2023 after 12 years of service, served in that position before Representative Khan. With them both no longer serving the city, a critical knowledge gap from the board remains. During my tenure, I was intimately familiar with board representatives from both Henderson and Warren County, as well as the council that was built on trust and years of working together. I am uniquely suited to fill that responsibility with only nominal updating regarding progress made since I stepped down as mayor. The most seamless transition would be for an incoming commissioner to fill then Commissioner Khan's committee roles for the rest of the term. In addition to having a strong understanding of public works issues, I have 14 years experience working on the city budget. I am comfortable with the process and well able to fill the role of committee chair, working on with the committee, the board, and critical staff as needed during budget season. Further, as a proponent of and participant in the comprehensive land use planning process, as well as an active member of the advisory committee for the Unified Development Ordinance, I have the necessary background knowledge to serve as a knowledgeable and engaged member of the Planning, Business, and Community Development Committee. I have also remained engaged with the city in this area through my role on the Downtown Oxford Economic Development Corporation Board. I have also in the past served on the advisory boards for Granville Little Theater, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, and the Foundation for UNC School of Public Health. I am currently a member of Oxford Rotary and serving as president of the board for Families Living Violence Free. These roles, combined with my 26 years at the health department and service with the city, have connected me with partners throughout Vance and Granville County and beyond. I bring a host of connections and relationships built on trust and service to any role that I undertake. I feel that I can be a positive addition to the current board by bringing my experience with the city, its partners, and its functions immediately to work without a learning curve. And I trust your judgment in determining who you feel will be the best fit for your needs among all the candidates. I wish you well with your decision. Thank you again for the opportunity to present tonight, and thank each of you for your service to the city.
Good evening, and not good evening. I'm waking up. Thank you to everyone, every candidate that came out and wants to take on this task of joining this team on this board. It's not an easy task. It takes a lot of work. It's not a 2-day a month work. You're out here 7 days a week. So I know we're just about the end. I'm going to proceed and have each commissioner do their closing remarks.
Wait a minute, we got
Mr. Mayor,
consent.
We still have
consent.
some items on the agenda.
What time is it? 10:35. Oh, wow. Consent agenda, consider accepting the November 2024 financial report. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion carried. Consider accepting the December 2nd, 10 minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, will we be out of order, Madam Secretary, if we put these three together and do it as a single motion?
No, you could have done the whole consent as a single motion.
Well, I would like to put 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3 in a single motion.
It's under the consent agenda. Yeah.
Under the consent agenda.
Yeah, those are under the consent.
Second.
Yeah, they're under the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion?
Just vote once.
Second.
We have a motion.
Mayor, we also got to do the consider approving a resolution on the memorandum of the agreement of cybersecurity. 5.5.
You're right. I did jump out of order.
Finish the consent.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion on the consent.
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion carries. Consider approving a resolution to approve a memorandum for agreement for cybersecurity and technical assistance at NC League of Municipal Grants. Staff recommends accepting the memorandum of agreement and a resolution for the Municipal Accounting Service, Cybersecurity and Technical Assistance Memorandum of Agreement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a second.
Second.
Motion carries.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's want to get out of here now. Okay,
That's it.
that's it. So now I move to the closing remarks. Right, Commissioner, we want to start with let's go with Commissioner Toby to start that way.
Well, I want to thank everybody for sitting through this very, very long meeting tonight. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding. Hope everybody's safe after the ice and snow. I just want to remind people before our next meeting, Thursday, February the 6th, 4 o'clock downstairs, there's going to be an art exhibition. Hopefully. Our Public Works Director is here. He's organising that along with Matthew Cox from the Oxford Art. So I just want to remind of that. And hopefully we'll have a small reception down there as well.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yeah, great evening. This is what you dream about as a representative of the community. When folks come out and look you in the face and talk to you and tell you how they feel, you can't ask for any more than that. And I'm so glad that my colleagues recognize when there is more information needed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? I'm proud of that. And I think that this decision in replacing Representative Khan is important. And we do need to have a discussion about how we make that selection, because, you know, we got a good group of people. And is the vote going to be on all of them together, or are we going to narrow the number? We need to talk about those kind of things at some point.
Not tonight.
Yeah, maybe not tonight. Yeah. But, you know, we do need to have some strategy for how the vote's going to happen. Okay? I would prefer not trying to vote on everybody at the same time.
So come before me.
Okay.
As Commissioner Khan,
Yeah, you
Commissioner
tired.
Bridges
tired.
stated, my plan is to get with
Commissioner Lumpkin.
Commissioner Lumpkin and our city attorney, and we shall have that written out, have the city clerk have that written out, sent out to everybody, could be as early as Friday. So let's move down the table. Commissioner McCray.
Again, as has been stated, thank everyone for your patience, for attending. I know it's a little bit longer than we typically go, but again, thank each one of you for braving the cold weather and actually coming out on this evening. For the 7 with Mr. Oliver, for the 7 that are interested in filling this seat, thank you. Thank you for your service and for your desire to do that. It's definitely to be commended, and we're looking forward to discussing that and coming up with a good decision. So again, thank you for that. I would be remiss if I didn't mention on last Friday I had an opportunity to hang out with a phenomenal group of folks, the Granville Advanced Public Health personnel. We had like a little training down at the hospital on last Friday. So if any of you guys are still up or here, thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for what you do. I definitely pray that you guys are strengthened and continue to do what you're doing, because you guys provide a I'm getting tired too, provide an outstanding service for not only the citizens here at Oxford, but Granville County as a whole, Vance as well. Again, thank you guys. Be safe in traveling home on this evening. You guys are in our prayers, and we're looking forward to doing this again on next month. So everybody come on. Hopefully it'll be packed again. So again, Godspeed, and we look forward to talking to you and seeing you out and about, and definitely on next month.
Commissioner Lumpkins.
I think everything's been said. I do want to thank all city staff, fire, police, public works, everybody for all your efforts in the recent snow. I guess you can call it a snowstorm. I'm not sure, but the recent snow. So thank y'all, and that's all I have at this time.
Mr. Bellis.
First and foremost, I want to give thanks to everyone that came out to express their opinions and how they felt about things. I know a lot of times people might feel as if we're not listening, but one thing about this board is that a lot of us are very strong and opinionated, and we might not agree on stuff from time to time, but we do come on common ground, especially when it's for the better good of the people. You just got to talk to us and express your concerns, in a positive light. I mean, because nobody react good to negativity. But I really appreciate that the people came out. I also want to express, I guess, a heartfelt thank you for everyone who wants to be a commissioner, and because it's definitely a lot of work, and to want to come up here and volunteer your time and efforts for your community. A lot of times people don't know what they're signing up for. Some do, but thank you on that. And I also want to recognize our city staff. This is the first board. I know we had the agenda meeting last week, but this is the first official board meeting since the holidays. And we had our crews out there working, fixing the pipe on Christmas Eve. We just had them a couple days ago repairing a water line. Our fire department, our public works, our police, they've been out and about. I mean, working long hours, to make sure, and our office staff to make sure everything works properly and everything runs good. So we want y'all to know that y'all appreciate it, and we thank y'all for all the sacrifices that y'all do. I know firsthand how it is. So, that's all I got to say. Thank you, everyone.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Everything has been said. Don't y'all think? Everything's been said. Take it to heart.
I was debating when I should say anything because normally, city manager, I'm sorry. Normally, John and Carlos will speak for 2 hours while we're doing this closing here. But
Not tonight.
I had a very productive week. It was not a vacation, it was a working trip. It was down in Panama. Spoke to a lot of the industries down there that want to come up to do business in the U.S. And I was invited down there. So my goal was to get the business in Oxford. So that's what's going on. So I will work with the city manager and we'll work things in details with the city attorney to see why we move on. It was a long year. I came on board with Commissioner Bellis and Commissioner McCray and that guy from the other part of the world, Mr. Toby. It was not easy. We had to take on a lot on our own. We had some help, and I think we've worked along and come a long way with the support that we have. To the staff, I see where things, like I said many times ago, You don't know what's happening until you get inside and see what's going on inside. The staff was underhand, especially the planning and engineering. They were short personnel, and a lot of people didn't understand that, why things are delayed, and sometimes it's too much. These two ladies that run these departments, you couldn't see their face on their desk because the amount of paperwork they had on there. But now they have the staff to take care of them, help them, and we should be moving forward accordingly as we need to. The police department is always a target. Chief Ford is good at dodging the bullets, so that's good. That's what she's trained for. But our police department was neglected for years, and we know that. They're in a building that should have been taken care of a long time ago. So one of our goals when we first came in office was to get them the adequate public safety building, a joint public safety with the fire and police department. They need that. As we look and we talk about all this that we went on today about what needs to be done, that should have been planned and ready to go already. Again, it's not a 2-year plan, it's just 5, 6, 7 years for everything to happen. But if we start moving, and like Commissioner Toby reminded on the agenda, I was not here, I looked at it, we need to get this going. We cannot sit and play with that no more. Economical development. We need to develop an economical development plan. The county does not have economical development director anymore. He resigned, and we haven't seen much result coming towards Oxford. We need to look at Oxford. Like we spoke at the last event, I speak sometime every day I think I speak every day to city managers. Sometimes get tired of me, but we need to think of Oxford. We need to have business in Oxford. I sit with the mayor from Henderson, and when they come and meet, they can come into Oxford. They say have dinner. I say no, I'm going back to Henderson and spend my money. But we go and get people from other cities to come here, take their money and run. When we have get the same service out of people. We need to relook how we do things. We need to put Oxford first. And before I close, I want to thank 2 individuals that for the year, we had the most successful hot sauce festival in decades. We have October Spook, successful. Veterans Day, every event from there on, they had 2 people that did everything for us and made sure it was right. One is a staff, which is Sabrina Richards. Thank you, Sabrina. And her staff is Mr. Ford, who's here on his, I don't know what they call it. They never did that in the military when they send you to play around and while you retire. But that's what they're doing now. Mr. Ford has filled in every time we asked him to do something. To me, it's like a right-hand man. I can say, Gio, take care of this, and he go do it for me. I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it publicly. We need people like you here in the city. We need people like you working on this staff because you make things happen. And the 2 of you make things happen in the city. And thank you very much for all you do. So I think I'm long-winded. I'm not going to talk about Fire Chief. I can say to Fire Chief, thank you for all the knowledge you and your dad has shared with me. So much that I'm going to get you in so much trouble you don't know what you're going with. But he's going with me. Thank you very much, all.
Motion to adjourn.
Are you trying to cut me off?
Second.
Can I discuss that?
No.
Second.
Adjourn.